From the very beginning, we envisioned this event to be a beacon of growth and transformation, the Black Manosphere Conclave. Across 3 days, Black men will converge to retool themselves for the 21st century. We'll forge powerful business alliances, refine styles, amplify tech skills, and exchange life lessons unique to the Black male experience. Motivate, evolve, enlighten, and thrive. This, gentlemen, is the Black Manosphere Conclave. Welcome to the elite.
It's a hard thing to admit, but it's understandable why they would choose to go their own way. And that's what's scary, is there's actually a rational reason why they would do that.
Men going their own way. And you can think what you want about it, but this is a really big problem for women, for us, for our future, for families, for you to find a partner. If a population of good men are walking away because they're fed up with women.
If you're being told all your life that you are bad and wrong just for being a man, and that you have toxic masculinity for being a man, and that, women, there's this famous expression that, a woman needs a man just like a fish needs a bicycle. And that men are basically useless, and that men are terrible, and that, women are superior.
Our society is very callous towards men. The only message most men hear in the world is that they're a bumbling buffoon. The TV shows are full of idiot men. Commercials show men as buffoons. The society is against them. All they hear about is what idiots men are.
It's the mass of women that are taking over the culture and representing women. They're loud, they're mean, they say they want equality. Why are they not protesting in the streets for the changing the laws for alimony or child support or child custody? Because they don't want equality, they want superiority.
The male gender has more of a slave state, and it's because men are now subjugated to the law and to women, and nobody really believes it except the men who go through, say, the court. But most men think that they're exempt from that until they end up in a bad situation.
So for a lot of the men, and a lot of them have gotten screwed over in terrible relationships and divorces, and gotten their kids taken away from them. So it's an understandable response.
In the United States of America, as a man, you can't speak up. I think most women tend to be I'm stereotyping, but they tend to be more collectivist. They tend to sort of be more in that socialist mindset. So I don't know that you're going to see a huge change. I think the change will have to come from men.
The lives of women will not change until the men get the opportunity to also examine and define and change their lives. In many ways, I sometimes think that the 20th century was the century where the women made all these massive changes, and the 21st century will be the changes that the men will make, partly in adaptation to the changes that the women have done.
And those men are doing something about it. They're saying, you know what, I'm done with this. I'm not getting married, or I'm divorced. They don't sit around just trying to live their life through women. They actually have lots of hobbies. They go out, they buy that land you were talking about. They're out there getting motorcycles. They're having a good time, and they're enjoying life without having to deal with the stress of the women and the society that tells them they have to have a woman in their life.
How would you feel? I mean, you're not going to feel that attracted to a woman or care to be loving towards her or romantic towards her. So this men going their own way is a reaction to that. I really think it's a rational reaction to that. Men are finally like, hey, we've given you all you want. You know, you are equal in every way, and then you're still shaming us.
This is kosher condition. 7 wonders, the whole world gotta listen. This is kosher condition. 7 wonders, the whole world gotta listen. This is kosher condition. 7 wonders, the whole world gotta listen. This is
trendsetter, I got style for you. Ain't seen you at the top, it's been a while for you. Big you up and they look down on you. Take one loss, no one's around for you. I won't stop, no, 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 no. I won't stop, I won't stop. I won't stop, no, 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 no. I won't stop, won't stop, yeah. I'm so handsome, all in Carmines with my Benz, I'm so fancy. No romancing, got my baby and she right, she make you vanish. No time to play, got book dates. Had a plan, only had to wait. Always knew I'd make a way. Send a bill, they send a pay. Keep it real, keep the record straight. Keep it real, no time to fake. All authentic in my own lane. I am me till I'm in the grave. Trendsetter, I got style for you. Ain't seen you at the top, it's been a while for you. Big you up and they look down on you. Take one loss, no one's around for you. I won't stop, no, 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 no. I won't stop, I won't stop. I won't stop, no, 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 no. I won't stop, won't stop. Ooh, never panic. Get a worry, send it up and then it vanish. Yeah, I can't stand it. Out of order way you move and see you scrambling. On offense, no defense. Still strong, no weakness. Used to say I wouldn't beat this. Now they wish they could beat this. Table set, now tables turn. God's plan, don't say a word. Know the price, cause I know my worth. My time, get what I deserve. Trendsetter, I got style for you. Ain't seen you at the top, it's been a while for you. Big you up and they look down on you. Take one loss, no one's around for you. I won't stop, no, 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 no. I won't stop, I won't stop. I won't stop, no, 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 no. I won't stop, won't stop. Tried to count me out, I'ma gon' count me in. Fill up my bank account, now I got something to spend. They tried to count me out, I'ma gon' count me in. Fill up my bank account, now I got something to spend. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I just pull it out and count for nothing when I'm feeling great. Give my baby little more, just to spend it, and I'm always on go, I don't hesitate. Used to always know I make it, yeah. I'll be me until I'm in the grave, yeah. See my record, had to set it straight, yeah. I make to kill like 10, 10, 10, 10 times 10. I got wires coming in, some in euros, some in sec, some in dollars, some in yen. I've been trying to keep my zen, keep my cool, keep my cool. Trying to keep the family fed, get my food, get my food. They tried to count me out, I'ma gon' count me in. Fill up my bank account, now I got something to spend. They tried to count me out, I'ma gon' count me in. Fill up my bank account. Now I got something to spend. Did it, do it. I did it all, no gimmicks. I did it all, no fibbits. Now I got all these children. Now I got all these clones. Now I got all you twinning. Now I got all you thinking like all you winning. They tried to count me out. They tried to fill that doubt. They tried to ride my wig. They tried to knock me out. They tried to count my wins. They tried to show my L's. They tried to make me in. They tried, but where they now? Where they? Step in the spot and they stare at me. All of these battles will bear me. I swear that nothing compares to me. Feeling blessed. I won't stress. Beat the odds. You know the rest. They tried to count me out. I'ma gon' count me in. Fill up my bank account. Now I got something to spend. They tried to count me out. I'ma gon' count me in. Fill up my bank account. Now I got something to spend. Me go beast on them. I go beast. Go deep, I OD on them. I OD. Apply pressure, put heat on them. Put that 500 degrees on them. 500 degrees. Go dummy, go beast on them. I go beast. Go deep, I OD on them. I OD. Apply pressure, put heat on them. Put that 500 degrees on them. Countdown, levitate, going up, elevate. Watch me demonstrate. On time, never late. I grind, celebrate. No pump, fake, hesitate. I've been scoring every day. Champagne Perrier. Since 9-3, been in the box, now I'm stepping up to home. Like straight out the sandlot, now I'm plotting on the globe. I work hard, I show love, that karma steady growing. Got this far, I go hard, let God take control. I was starving skinny, now my weight up. Got no energy for haters. See you trying, see you later. I'm shooting for the stars, need no laser beam. Blowing like the greatest, but it's one who's always greater. Yo, go dummy, go beast on them. I go beast. Go deep, I OD on them. I OD. Apply pressure, put heat on them. Put that 500 degrees on them. 500 degrees. Go dummy, go beast on them. I go beast. Go deep, I OD on them. I OD. Apply pressure, put heat on them. Put that 500 degrees on them. 500 degrees. Smell good, skin clear. This here my year. Hey, look up here. This here my tier. Same fit 4 days. I grind 4 ways. I play no games. All me, no blame. On the wave, my own wave. Can't stop my shine. In the lane, my own lane. Can't stop my grind. 40 yard in the V12 and like 1.5. At 19, I cleared 19 in a month, no lie. Oh God. I was starving skinny, now my weight up. Got no energy for haters. See you trying, see you later. I'm shooting for the stars, need no laser beam. Blowing like the greatest, but it's one who's always greater. Yo, go dummy, go beast on them. I go beast. Go deep, I OD on them. I OD. Apply pressure, put heat on them. Put that 500 degrees on them. 500 degrees. Go dummy, go beast on them. I go beast. Go deep, I OD on them. I OD. Apply pressure, put heat on them. Put that 500 degrees on them. 500 degrees. I'm a one. I'm a one. I'm a one-to-one. I can never be you. Low me tools, no I can't be fooled. Low me tools, no I hate these dudes. I'm a one-to-one. I can never be you. Anything you could do, I could do better. I can do better than you. Anything you could do, I could do better. I can do better than you. Drop my first single, let go, he rap. You thought it was a drought, that's cap. I get the front and I get the back. Lil Uzi the facts like that's a rack. Bought some new boots just to wear them out. Bought a new beamer, I run it to the ground. I used to say nothing, I bet they hear me now. Handle my business, no need to hear me out. Talking too much, say less. If it's less than a check, say less. If you can say it best, say less. I'm taking all best, say less. Talking too much, say less. If it's less than a check, say less. If you can say it best, say less. I'm taking all best, say.
Turn up. Hope you guys can hear me. And this is definitely a Leo turn up. Today or tomorrow will be my birthday. And I want to thank you guys for tuning in because this show is to more or less reflect and reverberate what I've learned in my 52 years on this planet, but also it's a reflection of what men need to understand as they move forward. Many will argue that the term resting in your femininity is redundant or foolish because a woman that's feminine is going to be a feminine woman at all times. But the question is this, guys. Imagine that we had a bunch of men that said, I can't be productive because I can't rest in my femininity, my masculinity. Imagine if a group of men said that I can't make money because I can't rest in my masculinity. I can't get the house that you want because I can't rest in my masculinity. Kevin Samuels, before he died, guys, was hinting that men should get passports and travel abroad. And while Al Grease, the author of Frustrated 3, talked about the importance of men having peace of mind, we're going to explore some of the dynamics, guys, on tonight. And we're going to explore as I turn up on my birthday. Birthday is actually on tomorrow. And we're going to see, is it really true that men should be able to rest in their masculinity? Because I believe technically a good woman does help a man rest in his masculinity because the rest of a man is peace and the rest of a woman is protection and love. And while men never say, I got to rest in my masculinity, we're going to explore how sarcastic or rhetorical it would sound if men said, I need to rest in my masculinity. Get your pens and paper ready, guys. I'm about to drop some fire for your mind on tonight. Leo turn up, guys. Let's go.
Friends go, it was simple. When the end's low, switch the tempo. When my friends go, it was simple. When the end's low, switch the tempo. I got right, I got hurt, I'ma die, I'ma fight. I go down, then I strike. I go hard day and night, yeah. I go hard day and night, 1 to 1, no surprise. See the hate in their eyes. My brothers bet money bleed. I got the game in the squeeze. What would you do for some green? What would you do for some blues? Go pick and choose the fam of the cheese. Some people not built like that.
Welcome to Machismo TV, the ultimate destination for modern men seeking to upgrade their lifestyle. Subscribe to Machismo TV and Saul T-Balls. We stream daily from 12 midnight to 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, the best male-centric content. Highlight reels without reviewing or providing any editorial bias to the content. We have done so much, with so little for so long, we are now qualified to do anything, with nothing.
All right, guys, thank you for tuning in on tonight. This is the commemoration of a very important day on tomorrow, which will be my birthday. And you know, this is a special time of the year, guys, because this is Leo season. And while I don't live by the zodiac, there's some truth to what they say about Leos. To the people that are Leos, get your L's up. If you got that Leo energy, put L in the chat, because Leos, we ain't gonna never quit. We don't care what things look like. We ain't gonna never quit. We're gonna keep going. But you know, as I said before, guys, many men, as I get ready to commemorate my birthday on tomorrow, many men are frustrated. And many men have not lived or seen the benefits of being around a feminine woman. When a man and a woman, guys, come together, the masculine embraces the feminine and the feminine embraces the masculine. But when men don't get what they need in a relationship, guys, what happens is this. Men become frustrated and men do not reach the full potential of what they could have reached because they're stressed out. They're angry. They have arrested development and they have brain fog because a feminine woman can impact the 4 dimensions of a man. And in the clinical world, we call it the biopsychosocial spiritual model. And we're going to get into it. But once again, before Kevin Samuels passed, man, Kevin, it appears, was talking about men should get passports. He was hinting that men should get passports. And consistent with Dr. King, before he was assassinated, he was going away from civil rights issues. And Dr. King was more or less talking about revolutionary talk. And it appears that Kevin had began to see, as he came to his untimely demise, that the juice, guys, is not worth the squeeze. And for a long time, Kevin had been saying that winter was coming. And he said the winter was coming because sadly some, not all, shout out to the good sisters, but he said winter was coming because modern women had an hyper-inflated ego about what their worth was. And some of you men have begun to devaluate what your worth is to the point that you don't love yourself, to the point you don't value yourself, to the point you don't have boundaries that are consistent with men in other parts of the world, and to the point you keep going through a negative karmic cycle trying to please a woman that you can never please. And while my message is not to lambast the good women, because we know that there is a remnant of good women that understand the importance of helping or assisting a man in resting in his masculinity. And while men don't use resting in their masculinity as a reason not to be masculine, the peace of a man is being in his masculinity. When a man has peace from his woman, it helps him to be masculine more, because the feminine nature of a feminine woman gives a man peace, which in essence amplifies his masculinity, because the essence of a feminine woman is an amplification or an oscillation of a masculine man. Because just like a fan, femininity is like a perfume, and it sprays on the essence of a man. But the problem is this, guys. Too many men have not begun to experience what true femininity is. And while modern women, many have become so entitled that they make all kinds of excuses for failing to be what they should be, because if you're a feminine woman, you're going to be a feminine woman regardless. And while stress can reduce your femininity, a true feminine woman pushes forward in spite of, because she understands what her mission is. And I'm going to prove my point on tonight. When you guys go to other nether regions of the world, some of those women live in very dire situations. They live in abject poverty. They live in areas where some have lost their husbands, but they got some of the kindest demeanors. They got some of the kindest words. They say some of the kindest words to a man. they're able to fight through their adversity in spite of or regardless of what they are going through, because their values and their faith and their intestinal fortitude and their temperament always supersedes the temporary stressors or the stressors that they're going through. So when you hear a woman tell you, I can't do X, Y, and Z because she can't rest in her femininity, just tell that woman, consistent with what Jeremiah Wright said, tell her that the chickens are coming home to roost.
America's chickens coming home to roost.
All right, guys, y'all forgive me. A little technical issues, man. I'm going to shut this thing down for a minute. Give me 1 minute. You give, the less you get in return. The more you give, sadly, the less you get in return. And the more you talk about what you need, she never meets you halfway. But imagine if at least 50% of the women in the West, white or black, were feminine women. Imagine if 50% of the women here in the West were honorable and peaceful and fit and cooperative and kind, and they sprayed that feminine oscillation onto a man that will help that man become the better version of himself. Imagine that. But Al Grease in the movie Frustrated did so much for this reason. What it did, guys, it began to tell the story of so many other men that were going through what they were going through. And when men begin to travel abroad, whether they're blue book gentlemen, whether they're the passport bros, and whether they are followers of Al Grease, what they begin to understand is that something was missing. Something was missing because they weren't getting that feminine oscillation that they needed to press forward. So many men are in a state of arrested development because, once again, they have not been able to push forward. And the question is, guys, how did we get here? How did we get here? And the second question is, why are men frustrated? Guys, share this stream, donate to the channel, because Leo turn up. And we're going to have a good show tonight. Shout out to my man, Gregory Scotland, showing love on my birthday for tomorrow, guys. We're going to have an open panel. And we're going to talk about at some point what it means to for a man to be able to rest in his masculinity. Because we know and understand that a masculine man going to push forward anyway. But imagine if a man could rest in his masculinity. Imagine, guys, if a man was able to come home and be at peace. Imagine if a man could come home and be at peace and have a peace of mind, and have a woman that support him, a woman that's not competing with him, a woman that does not have contempt for him, a woman that he's at peace because he knows that woman got his back. Imagine if a man had a woman that knew that if that man lost everything he got, that woman is a ride or die. But we wonder why marriage rates are dropping left and right. We wonder why they don't see the manifest kings in so many modern men. And guys, I got a new term that I created. I need somebody to write it down. Because the new term, guys, is called kosher kings. Some of you men need to revolutionize and become kosher kings. Because kosher kings are fit and proper. Kosher kings have peace of mind. Kosher kings is a new movement of men that will not tolerate mediocrity. So the new terminology, guys, is kosher kings. You men are evolving to become kosher kings, because it's not fit or proper to have a woman that's not consistent with your worldview, but not consistent with respecting you and honoring you as a man. Shout out to Gregor. Gregor said, honor to you, kosher. Have you or anyone in the chat heard of some video going on where black women are saying that black men don't need to know their worth? Someone mentioned this on Christmas stream the other day. Well, I'm not shocked, Gregory. I'm not shocked. And and that's why Porky Pig is saying,
That's all, bro.
guys, y'all forgive me some technical dishes. I don't know what's going on. Got some technical issues. Situation and a new celebration, a new situation and a new celebration for a lot of men. And Harriet Tubman once said, guys, in the past, she said, I could have freed a lot more and then I already know that they were slaves. Some of you men are still mental slaves of the women you've been dealing with, because you don't know what your worth is. And she don't want you to know what your worth is as well. And that's why these conversations are important, because some of you men are dying slowly on the inside. And as I said earlier, Kevin began to understand that perhaps men should get passports. Perhaps men should explore other options. Perhaps men should get women from other countries that are consistent with respecting them and consistent with honoring them as men. He began to realize that giving your best to women, sadly, some in the West is not wise. And so the question is, guys, once again, how did we get here? Why are men so frustrated? And what did I learn from my interview in the movie Frustrated 3? But we're going to play this as a reminder, guys, and donate to the channel, share the stream. I don't know where all this static is coming from. But many men are frustrated, guys. And some will say, guys, this is how we got here, due to modern women and men not knowing what their worth is.
When you date a woman and she may be a potential wife, it's a competition thing all the way. I can't take it no more.
They feel propped up because they feel more beholden to the government. And then their man comes second. That's why they figure that they're strong, independent, don't need no man, because they have the government.
Because the men are failing us, to be honest. Guys thinking about themselves, and they'll think about you after you react.
You don't hear anything about being good wives and all the other stuff. What you hear is you're strong and you independent. You can do it on your own. You got black girl magic, black girl rock, but you ain't said nothing about black family.
My mother is like what they consider to be the strong black woman. I feel like I projected that onto the guys that I dated.
Ladies have no idea how stiff their competition really is. You have no clue how black men are viewed in the rest of the world. We are the #1 most sexually desired man on the face of this planet.
They would call Jesus Dusty if he was here living in America, because of the gross narcissism that a lot of our women have.
God, so once again, how did we get here? How did we get to this critical nexus where men are frustrated with the dating options and choices that they have, where many are not getting married, where many are checking out, and while many are looking for solutions? How did we get here? And then the other question would be, how many of you men are suffering from affection deprivation? something that I've talked about in the past. Guys, get the likes up, share the stream for me, please. We're going to get deep into it on tonight because this is an interview that I had with Al Grease when I was over in Brazil, and we had a conversation about affection deprivation. How do we get to the current point where we are at? And why men are suffering in silence, because I've always said, guys, that a hopeless man is a broken man, and a broken man is a dangerous man. And some of you men are a danger to yourself because you are broken. Some of you men are a danger to yourself because some of you men are broken. You are broken, once again, because you've been conditioned to think that you don't have any value and you don't have any inherent worth. We're going to get into the stream, guys. We're about to go down the rabbit hole in a minute. But in the meantime, hit the like button, guys. Donate to the channel, number 2. Shout out to Gregory Scotland. He's the number 1 sponsor of the stream. And guys, we're going to have a good show tonight. We're going to have an open panel at some point where men come up and talk about the struggles they've had and why they have not been able to rest in their masculinity, because the rest of a man is peace. We're going to talk about it in a minute, guys. So in the meantime, guys, if you're ready to go down the rabbit hole, I need you to hit 1 because I got some good stuff on tonight. But hit 1 if you're ready to go down the rabbit hole. Donate to the channel, support the stream. And we're going to determine how we got here.
Down the rabbit hole we go. This is the part of the show where we assess, examine, collaborate.
So the question is, why do men suffer from affection deprivation? Why do men suffer from affection deprivation? Why do men give their power away? Is it because how they were socialized by their mothers? Is it because some still have a state of arrested development based on what that woman did to them in the past? Is it because they have a low self-esteem? Is it because they could never get over the woman that they fell in love with? And I told you guys before in the past, I don't believe that men should fall in love, but I do believe that men should love within reason. And then the next question can be, as I asked earlier, can raw femininity help a man? And I say the answer is yes. But we're going to see how we got here. How did we get here? How did we get here? You guys are going to see how we got here. How did we get to a point where men have compromised their power? All right, hold tight, guys. All right, so hold tight. We're going to get deep into it, guys, in a minute. But I need you guys to share the stream. I need you guys to donate to the channel. This is about 2 years ago, guys. I was in Brazil, and I was in the mood with Al Grease and Frustrated 3. And the whole purpose of this show, Al Grease started the first show with Frustrated 1, as he was talking with Charles Tyler. And Charles Tyler was a visionary. He was a visionary, and I remember him vaguely, but he was a visionary for men and male travel. And I need you guys to understand this. As I've told you guys before in the past, female nature is female nature anywhere that you go. But here's the difference with women abroad. Many of them, it's how they've been raised, how they've been trained. Our women at one time were like women abroad. They were Bella ride or dies. They were kinder. They were more respectful. They didn't celebrate 304 culture. They understood the mission of a relationship, and they stood by their men. But see, how did we get here? We got here for many reasons. Men started to compromise their standards. Some of you men were victims and you believed in or allowed shaming language. Some of you men began to listen to what these women were saying as it relates to you being the better version of yourself. Some of you men began to listen to other men and told you that you should get with that woman that got children, not children, but children. And over and over and over and over again, this issue is not just a black man issue, but it is an American male issue. And once again, when white America get the cold, black America or black male America get the flu. I need 5 guys to share the stream. Let's get this stream up, guys, please. Because some men need to hear this, because so many men are frustrated. And it took a lot of hours to put this show together, guys. So we're going to have an open panel at some point. Donate to the channel, as I said earlier. If you don't have any money, just share the stream. Because once again, the question is this: what would happen if a man was able to rest in his masculinity? What would happen if a man could rest in his masculinity? This was a candid interview that I had with Al Grease about 2 years ago in a documentary, Frustrated 3. And we're going to talk about it. So share the stream, guys. I got 1 to share. I need 4 to 5 more to share the stream. And we're going to continue the conversation.
You scared? No, you can't. You got to be careful leaning forward.
Right.
Then you lean yourself out as a shot.
Okay.
How do you feel comfortable?
I'm perfect.
Sit straight up, shoulders back. You know, so if you lean forward,
right,
you come out of the shot.
Yeah, right. You took me for a loop because I thought you were actually alive, so that's why I leaned forward a little bit.
No, get comfortable, man. Get comfortable.
Right.
Go talk for about 20 minutes, man. That's it.
Oh no, right.
Let me know.
You let me know when you're ready.
Yeah, I will. We all set here? Yeah. They say quiet on the set. I don't have my little actor. Quiet on the set. Frustrated. Take 1. How you doing, brother? You want to go ahead and introduce yourself?
Well, my name is Seven Smalls, clinical therapist out of North Carolina. I've been impressed with the work or the amount of work that you've been doing as relates to.
Tell me about yourself first, then jump into that.
Right. So
I want to make sure I get everything about you, so when it comes up on there.
I got 5. 2 that shared the stream. Thank you, Contractor and Jay Shabazz. I need 5 to 7 more. When you share the stream, tell me where you shared it. Let's get this stream up, guys. This is going to be a good show. We're going to have some guests up here on tonight. Tomorrow is my birthday, so you want to support me? Show some love on my birthday on tomorrow. If you're a Leo, get your L's up in the stream. So if you want to support me, show some love. My birthday's on tomorrow. If you're a Leo, get your L's up. Put L in the background, guys. Shout out to my man Gregory Scotland. He said that many baby boomers and Generation X men had to hold the goat horns for buying so heavily into stepdad concept. Yes, sir. In the 1980s and 90s. You're right, Gregory Scotland. I agree with you 1,000%. And you're a dynamite. Thank you, sir.
Hello,
I appreciate it.
lucky
Thank
person.
You
got the number right, because you are talking to Kid a Dynamite. You're a Dynamite.
in this masculinity. What would happen if a man could rest in his masculinity?
Is this the clinical therapist? Introduce you. No, don't worry about that.
Right.
No, don't worry about him. It's just me and you talking. Don't worry. Just introduce you to YouTube. I mean, I'm available on YouTube.
Mhm.
Seven Smalls. Put all your social media and stuff.
Right.
So people can reach it, and then we can jump into the other stuff. All right?
Okay.
Okay. Just take your time. Go ahead.
Shout out to my man Sean Campbell for the 20 showing love. Thank you, Sean Campbell. He said early birthday gift. I appreciate it, Sean Campbell. If you got that Leo energy, guys, put L in the chat. Put your L's in the chat if you got that Leo energy. I appreciate it, man. Thank you, Sean Campbell. And Sean Campbell and Gregory Scholar always showing love. And that's a deal.
The preacher said to them, you've been here long enough. You've been down in.
It's a bet, right? That's a deal, right?
Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Ronnie.
So my name is Seven Smalls. I'm a clinical therapist out of the state of North Carolina. My YouTube channel is The Kosher Clinician. On Facebook, I'm Seven Smalls. And, you know, it's an honor and a pleasure to be part of this product and part of this profession, and also the part of this epic film that you're trying to produce as it relates to men of color being frustrated.
Okay, first I want to thank you for coming out and joining us out here in Brazil,
Right.
Rio de Janeiro. What do you think of the city, or the city of Rio and Copacabana area? So far, what's your experience?
Well, I think the city is a beautiful city. The culture is definitely different. The people are very vibrant.
Let me tell you something, guys. I told you guys that there are 7 steps that a man got to go through in order to become optimized. I told you guys that there are 7 steps. There are 7 steps that a man got to go through in order to become optimized. World travel, guys. Once you begin to travel abroad, the illusion that you think you see in what a feminine woman is will be erased once you get abroad. Once you get abroad and see what true femininity is, you will never be the same again. And that's why so many guys cry when they travel abroad, because they've never seen true femininity. And that's why I said that there are 7 steps. And once again, world travel is one of those 7 steps, because you begin to see the world not on how people treat you or how you think you should be treated, but you begin to see the world and how other men are treated by women, with the understanding that women abroad are not perfect, with the understanding that if you're a simp here in America, you'll be a simp overseas. But you do got a greater opportunity of being successful once you do the requisite work with your mental health, but also know what value you have as a man.
You know, I think the women are very feminine, and I think the men are very masculine. You know, that's one of the things that I noticed about the culture coming here. You know, there seems to be structure and order for the most part.
What's one of the biggest contrasts when you relate that back to the States? Do you see in the States?
Well, one of the things I see, Al, I think the women here are definitely more feminine. You know, they have a natural aura and the energy about them that you really don't see as much back home. Not saying that women back home are not feminine, but you see a more natural form of femininity here than you see more or less.
Well, let me say this, guys. Women, you don't see femininity a lot here. I said that in the documentary, but you really don't see true raw femininity. If you do see it, it's far and few in between. It's rare. You don't see a lot of femininity abroad. I mean, here in America, I haven't seen a lot of it. I've seen it sporadically. But women abroad, when you travel to other cultures, they're very kind. The people are kind. They're still people. They're still humans. If you're a lick and you're ignorant here in America, you can get taken advantage of. You don't know how to operate. But the odds, if you're a decent guy, it's a lot greater once you begin to travel, guys. Hold tight.
Back home in the States.
Okay, so as it relates back to the States, because the product is frustrated.
Right.
And I'm going to ask you to repeat some of the beginning of the question, because my voice is going to be edited out.
Right.
So it's just, you know, I mix all the conversations together, so I'm going to ask you to repeat my question before you kind of answer the question. And as it relates back to here and, you know, the product being frustrated, it relates to men and women in relationships doing and frustrated. How can you see a place like Brazil that, just by its culture itself, that can help brothers out?
Well, you know, there's a science behind stress and there's a science behind negative energy and cortisol. And I think because of the natural femininity that the women have here, I think it can be a catalyst to helping a lot of men de-escalate some of the negative things that they're dealing with home. You know, unfortunately, we live in a culture where a lot of our women have not been taught consistently how to, you know, must acquiesce to the needs of a man. And I think because of that,
some of you guys can't rest in your masculinity because of the woman that you're dealing with. We're going to get in deep into it on tonight because that woman is stressing you out. And that's impacting you not only on a financial level, but it's impacting you on a biochemical level. Cortisol will destroy your immune system. Going home to a rebellious, disobedient woman will destroy your energy as a man. But keep listening.
That I think a lot of times men try to seek solace in places where they can find that level of affection that helps them become stable.
You see a place like this helping women back in the States?
That's
because not just, we could repeat it from the beginning, but not just from an educational standpoint to see how the natural order.
Well, I think it will be a culture shock. I think it will be a culture shock.
Repeat the question in your answer in the beginning, like for women.
For women coming to Copacabana, Brazil, I think it would be a culture shock. And I think it would be a culture shock because the men here are very masculine, they're very dominant. And I don't think they are as, what would I say, more egalitarian as we are.
And you know, let me tell you something, guys. American women got it good compared to other women in the world. Because the stuff that we tolerate here in America, men in other countries, they don't tolerate it. They demand respect in their cultures. If you get out of line, sometimes it can be severe, owned up to death. And while we're not advocating violence, I'm not advocating violence. If some of you guys are advocating violence or think about violence, don't hang around me because I'm not advocating violence. But I'm just telling you the obvious, that you can lose your life abroad. You can lose your life abroad, sadly, because those men in other countries don't tolerate disrespect.
Back home. And so coming to a culture here, I think, you know, some will probably even be invisible to some degree because, you know, of the level of beauty that you see here in Brazil. So I think it will be a culture shock for a lot of them. You know, I think it'll be a shock because, you know, the relationships back in the States are more equal. But here it's more patriarchal. And I think it would probably be a detriment to a lot of women coming to a country where they think things are going to be equal.
Okay, so one of my points and premise I want to bring out is the economy. Has the economy shifted over the years, how it affected family structures? So,
and guys, you know, Grease was talking about the economy. Shout out to Al Grease. And here's the problem, guys. Not only have the economy shifted, the economy is changing radically right before your eyes. They've done studies, guys, to say about 2035 or 2030 that 35% or about 45% of women are going to be single. And the government played many of our women. It played many of our women, but American women in general. So what they're trying to do now, they're trying to find ways to recoup money so they can drag you guys into dealing with women in the West. And guys, if you want a woman that has been trained to be a traditional woman, then you need to travel abroad. There are still, I believe, some women that are younger. Some of the younger women from 18 to 21, I think, are younger. And they might be okay, I guess. But you got to look for them. You got to do a lot of research to find a woman of your choice. Because sadly, many have not been trained to be wives, have not been taught or conditioned to serve, honor, and respect their men.
When we were in the 60s, when we were more in the production phases and stuff, men with high school or even no high school education still can get jobs and take care of family.
Right. Buy
homes and cars and take care of their families and send kids to college.
Right.
So has that changed when it became more automated? And in the 70s and the 80s, how black men would first buy,
right,
last hire, first
right,
buy,
right,
and not having those jobs to take care of the family, and then welfare plan situation, looking at the 70s and 80s, and now when they switch to a more service industry, now you see more kids going into college and coming out with debt.
Right.
Tons of debt, and not having the job that's going to offset that.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of them got, college degrees and want to work in Burger King, McDonald's, managers and stuff.
Right.
And not having that. So how do you see those kind of, as the economy shifted, how does it play a major impact on families?
Well, I think with this last pandemic, I think it showed a lot of our women how vulnerable that they can be, and that it was paramount to have a strong masculine man in the home. But more specifically to your question, I think the economy the economy and automation it's going to impact a lot of the women, our women, because the service sector I think was a benefactor to a lot of our women in the past. But now because of automation, if you go look at places like Walmart, you look at McDonald's, even a lot of those jobs are being replaced by robots. And I think because of that replacement, I think it's going to put a lot of our women in a predicament where they're going to have to go back and rely on a two-parent or two-parent family structure that can help them with some of the finances that are needed to be sustainable in America. So to your question, the pandemic I think more or less opened a lot of our women's eyes to how vulnerable that they are. And I think the so-called superwoman complex that unfortunately some of our women have back home, I think it took them for a strong loop, because I actually saw it myself. I saw women.
And see, guys, the right to self-determination, is the right to live your life on your own terms. That's the right to self-determination. To live your life on your own terms, meaning you don't have to answer to no one, man or woman, and you can live your life into perpetuity and create communities that are consistent with respecting and honoring you as a man. And that's why these conversations are so important, guys. That's why these conversations are important. Female nature is female nature anywhere you go, but here's the difference once again. Most women are not trying to exploit you unless you're in red light districts. But in general, a lot of those women that's looking for good men to love them, respect them, and honor them. Guys, do me a favor. The robot that sent me a text, he said, tell them Negroes to get the likes up and donate to the channel, guys. And thank you guys for tuning in.
That I never even seen before, and they calling me, texting me, asking for help. So I think it showed women a new level of vulnerability they'd never seen before, pre-COVID.
And see, guys, here's the difference when men travel abroad. Women in other countries are not sponsored by the government like women here in the West. Women in the West are government sponsored. Men abroad are not government sponsored. So they have no other choice but to rely on and to respect their men. Some of those countries are Christian-based countries. Some are Islamic-based countries. So they've been trained consistent with theology to respect and to honor their men. But winter is coming. It's literally around the corner. And once again, guys, this is Leo season. And if you're a Leo, get your L's up, because Leos are the king of kings, guys. But just like Jeremiah Wright said, the chickens are coming home to roost.
America's chickens coming home to roost. America's chickens coming home to roost.
Shout out to my man, Top Gun, and shout out to my man, Salty Balls. Top Gun said, hey. He said, happy early birthday to the bird, man. Do me a favor and do the ASM hand rub one more time for me. I got you, dog. Another year has passed and you still have to answer my question. Who hurt you? to my man Top Gun. And Top Gun, you are one of the #1 sponsors of this stream. You and Gregory Scotland. I appreciate it. And also shout out to my man Salty Balls, as he's also one of the sponsors of the stream. Donated. We're going to talk about, once again, why men are frustrated, how we got here. And this is for Top Gun. Top Gun said, the AMS, dog. Got my finger sliced wide open, so I can't really do it a whole lot. But this is AMS, because AMS, he wants some of that passport money, man. And a lot of them coaches want some of that passport money. They want some of that passport money because they're trying to keep these brothers here in America. They deal with Raekwon and Man, Keach and her children. All right, hold on, guys. We'll get right back to it. Hold on. There's a lot of static in the state, man. Hold on.
So is a lot of that due to especially our women, the philosophy of independence, and like you mentioned, the strong mindset.
Right.
So when something like a pandemic comes around and swift through it, and a lot of private and small businesses were impacted by that.
Right.
And being that in America, they praise them as being one of the groups, black women being one of the groups of businesswomen,
right,
in this small business,
right,
might put with an impact like that, and not willing to cooperate with your counterpart.
Yes, right.
And expose. Will you expand on that a little bit?
So I want to make sure I'm hearing you clear. Are you saying that I call the so-called trope of shout out to my beautiful friend Dallas D. Happy birthday to you. Thank you, sweet. I appreciate it. And Dallas, if you can come through later, come through, and we're gonna have a good conversation, guys. I don't know what's going on with this stupid thing. Testing. All right, hold on, guys. Strong and independent, I think, is a cognitive distortion, because nobody is 100% independent, not even me, not even you. We're self-sufficient to a certain degree. But I think the whole word, the strong and independent. Yeah, Dr. Dunn, I know about it, man. Them Dusty Ninjas want some of the market, man. They want the market. they want some of that market. They want some of the market, man, because they minimize the power when men come together and do what's best for them. And I think what it does, it places a lot of women in a goddess complex that that they're above and they don't need a man. And I think because of that type of thinking error, I think it's caused a lot of women to more or less humble themselves in silence, and it's made them realize that they're not a. Let me ask you guys a question. If you've been through, I need you to hit one. How many men have dealt with women that have told them that they didn't need a man? How many women have you guys dealt with that have told you that they don't need a man and they're boss chicks? If you've been through it, I need you to hit one. If you've been through it, I need you to hit one. Hit one if you've been through it. That they strong and they don't need a man, because the winner is coming. Shout out to the contractor. Contractor say he's been through it. First Class King say he's been through it. David Quall say he's been through it. Top Gun said one viciously. And Sean Campbell said he's been through it. Keep them coming, guys. Keep them coming. Keep them coming. To the 45, to the guys or women. And guys, once again, this is not a condemnation to the good sisters. We show love and embrace good sisters. XL Pro say he's been to it. Shout out to my man David Qualls, Augusta, Georgia in the house, no doubt. I Robinson 86 said, of course, he's been through it. Imagine, guys, if at least 50% of women were cooperative, respected their men, knew their role, allowed men to rest in their masculinity. Because a woman that helps a man rest in his masculinity, she gets the best out of that man. She gets the best out of that man. Because a good woman can bring out the best in a man. And that's why so many men are frustrated. And that's why, guys, we're doing these shows, because once again, as a licensed therapist, men need the right to self-determination.
Strong as independence they think they are. And I think because of that, some might won't say it in public, but I think a lot of reevaluating that thinking narrative that they've had in the past. And, you know, and I think many now want to come to the defense and the aid of a man, but we got to ask ourselves the question, is it genuine, or is it more or less based on need?
In your profession and you know, your YouTube and stuff and some of the stuff that
right.
you...
And guys, we got the lovely Lioness in the house. We got the lovely Lioness in the house. Chantel Simone, she got that Leo energy. And one of the things I love about Chantel Simone, guys, is this. Chantel Simone is doing the work. She's working out. She's reflective. She's loving herself. She's putting herself in a position to get a husband at some point. She's logical and she's reasonable. Imagine if women were reflective like Chantel Simone, that has began to do the work and is putting herself in the position for a down payment. Because see, you get women like Chantel, guys, you know, you don't mind putting a down payment on the ring, man, with the prenup. But and if a woman is feminine and understand you as a man, she don't mind signing that prenup. But Chantel, how you doing, dear? What's going on? You can pop in, dear.
I'm doing good. Can you guys hear me?
I can hear you, sweetie. What's going on?
I'm doing good. Just stopping in real quick to say hi. I'm actually on the road.
Okay, yeah, no doubt. But you know what, Chantel, I'm glad you're here, sweetie.
Happy birthday.
No doubt, Leo season. But you know what, Chantel, you know, you hear so many women talk about resting in their femininity. They talk about resting in their femininity. But we know that men are going to be masculine regardless if they can rest. But I believe, Chantel, that when a man is allowed to rest in his masculinity and project in his masculinity, which is peace, he can be a more productive man. But men don't say such foolishness because men are masculine in spite of. What's your take on what I'm just saying?
Yeah, I agree. I think not only is it foolish to say, I think men have no other choice but to be in their masculinity. So why walk around and proclaiming that you are resting in your masculinity? There's no other place you should be in.
Oh yeah. And you know, I don't know if you've ever seen it, but when you see men that got cooperative, feminine, kind, fit, loving wives, what outcomes have you seen when a woman put a man in a position to enhance his masculinity as a man? Because Chantel, before Kevin died, Kevin was pushing the passport movement. What's your take on what I just said?
Yeah, definitely. Based on my observation, she gets the world. She gets everything. Because I think when men feel inspired, as Kevin would use that term, inspiration, I think they go above and beyond to to meet their duty as a masculine man.
No doubt, no doubt, no doubt. And see, guys, when you have women like Chantel, they understand the mission. They understand what it means to support and to love a man. It can help build a strong Black community. But when you have women that don't understand what the mission is, because marriage is not about the aggrandizement of the woman, but marriage is about building one another and supporting one another. Chantel, as you continue to evolve, what have you learned about yourself that's going to help you help your man rest in his masculinity in spite of his biological imperative to be a man anyway?
Even to just add to what you just said, I think it's pouring into each other. So my femininity pours into his masculinity and vice versa. So what I've learned about myself is just how to be at peace, how to let go. I mean, like a lot of Black women, I wasn't raised to be feminine. So unfortunately, I was raised to be that masculine head decision maker. So unfortunately, now I have to be learning how to reprogramming my mind and just falling back, submitting and allowing a man to lead. And it's not, I'm not going to be perfect at it, obviously, but my main goal is so my daughter don't have to be in her 30s learning things that she should have been learned as a child.
Chantel, somebody going to put a down payment on the ring for you soon, sweetie.
I hope so. I do have to run though. I just wanted to say happy birthday and hi chat. I'm not in the chat. I can't
real
see
quick,
the chat,
real quick before I let you go. Would you sign a prenup?
Oh, definitely. Yeah. I actually, it's a red flag if a man doesn't ask me to sign a prenup.
Okay, all right. We'll talk about that. I'm gonna clip this and I'm gonna say Chantel will sign a prenup. But anyway, Leo says to get your L's up. Much love, sweetie. Be good.
Take care, Kosher. Bye, chat.
All right, bye-bye. All right. Shout out to my man, Top Gun. Top Gun said, imagine someone who tapped out more than Ric Flair, the Man in the $1 Million Man, and Ted DiBiase. I have, and I never played the Price is Right game. And in the words of Porky Pig.
It's a beautiful day in this neighborhood, a beautiful day for a neighbor. Would you be mine?
Shout out to my man.
Would you be mine? It's a neighborly day in this beautiful wood, a neighborly day for a
Shout out to my man D. Scott. He says, share to my homeboys at Edward Anna's Discord. Black men, value yourselves and deal with those that deal with you, no doubt. And my man D. Scott got that Leo energy too. Shout out to my man D. Scott, Leo season. And guys, we're going to get back into this conversation when I was in Brazil. Shout out to Chantel.
Discusses some of the issues. What do you feel what's one of the biggest issues as it relates to relationship between men and women back in the States?
So when you say, so to clarify what you're saying, how do I think?
No, what do you, not how do you think, what do you think is the biggest issue as it relates to relationships, the struggle?
I think the biggest issue is a lack of cooperation, Al. I think the biggest issue is a lack of cooperation, and I think because of that lack of cooperation, it's causing a chasm in a lot of our families. Kids need structure in order to be safe. And so as a clinical therapist, we use a scale called the Cal Locus. And what the Cal Locus does, it has a component or a subset called the recovery environment. And so when kids are in an environment where they are stable, it causes the children to feel safe. But I think one of the biggest issues, because of the lack of cooperation, and I think because of the lack of seeing a strong fathers in the homes, I think it's caused a lot of unneeded stress, not only on children, but it's caused a lot of unneeded stress on a lot of our women. And so I think the lack of cooperation is the greatest culprit to a lot of the issues that you see manifesting back in the States. And so, I think I've heard, people say that, feminism is a first world issue. You don't see it manifest itself as much in Brazil. And so, I think the lack of cooperation, the lack of respect and honoring the men has caused a lot of stress and frustration, not only on our women, but equally our men, because our men are at their best when they're in an environment where they're honored and respected as men. And I think because of that, it causes not only the man to be at peace, but it helps the children be at peace as well. So the lack of cooperation, I would say, is one of the biggest culprits. And it's not a black problem, it's an American issue.
The lack of respect in your dating experiences, gentlemen, out of the girlfriends or the women that you've dated, what percentage would you say are respectable that can help you rest in your masculinity as a man? What percentage would you say is respectable? What percentage?
Because, that's a term that I use to, I call it the commodification of subjugation, which basically means that, a lot of men feel like they're just commodities to be subjugated to the whims of the woman. And I think men are at their best when they feel like they're loved and when they feel like they're respected. But unfortunately, you don't see that type of unison that you saw in the past. And I think because of that, men are exploring the options, outside of the country to find love and peace and tranquility.
And mentioning cooperation, and just to go in depth of that a little bit, like cooperating as far as in the family structure, as far as
Johnson, my man, Detroit 313 for the 5. Thank you, Detroit 313 guys. And you guys got to travel, man. To you single men that have never been married, to you married men that might be getting divorces, sadly, you need to travel, but you can't travel being thirsty. You can't travel not understanding basic female nature. You can't travel. Because if you don't know, have not dealt with those mental health issues from your past, you will continue to compromise yourself.
All right.
But I just want to just expound on as far as cooperation.
Mhm.
In a family setting, still, women have to work now. But when it comes to coming back and doing wifey or mother duties and stuff, the kids are eating McDonald's and the kids 10 years old with type 2 diabetes. I see it.
Right.
Kids 2-year-old type of diabetes. So the failure, really, when you fail to cooperate, especially with your counterpart, some of the sub issues that come up from that. So let me let her get situated.
Okay.
So when you fail to cooperate, then you see some of these other issues.
Right. It's a trickle-down effect, almost like trickle-down economics. When kids see their parents loving and respecting one another, it makes them feel safe, but also they learn what's called healthy social skills or healthy socialization. But we live in a very toxic and a very dysfunctional culture in America where you don't see that healthy socialization. And, I think boys need to see healthy socialization in order to understand structure and hierarchy. If you look at the prison numbers, kids that grow up in single-parent families tend to have higher recidivist rates than kids that grow in an intact family. And listen, we know that kids that grow in an intact family is not necessarily the panacea to some of the issues that they're having, but kids that grow up in an intact family tend to thrive better than kids in homes, in single-parent households. But once again, it's not the panacea to the issues.
And guys, I've seen it firsthand. When children have strong fathers and cooperative mothers, and fathers and wives work together to impact their children, the kids are better. But you don't see it anymore. That's why these kids are out of control. And that's why they don't fight through adversity, some of them or many of them, like we did in the past.
So I think it's important that kids are in situations where they feel safe, where they see healthy socialization, because I think kids thrive when they see two parents interacting together, free of conflict and free of struggle. Because unfortunately, a lot of our kids are used to struggle. You look at the inner cities and the ghettos, the struggle is normal. And it's normal. And I think this pandemic took it to a whole nother level. And I think it's made some of our women and women in general back in America reevaluate their position of how they want to interact with the men in their lives.
Hold on, one of the lights went out.
So, guys, this is the interview that I had with Al Grease when in the movie Frustrated 3. And so the question is, how did we get here? And how or what does resting in your masculinity look like as a man? Because if women want to rest in their femininity, because we know really there's no such thing as resting in your femininity. You're going to feel a feminine woman anyway. But let's say if a feminine woman wanted to be more feminine due to the lack of stress, how can she help her man rest in his masculinity and project in his masculinity as well? I'm going to show you guys some. Let me show you guys the breakdown. And once again, guys, before Kevin passed away, it appears that he was changing. He was beginning to change. He was beginning to see things differently. And here's a couple of montages, guys. Okay. Look at this montage right quick, guys. But in the meantime, guys, if you don't have your tickets, go get your tickets from the Black Manosphere Conclave and go check out Salty Balls and Machismo TV. Why was Al Grease frustrated? Let's talk about the psychological things that you went through. Frustrated. Why was Al?
Welcome to Machismo TV, the ultimate destination for modern men seeking to upgrade their lifestyle. Subscribe to Machismo TV and Salty Balls. We stream daily from 12 midnight to 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, the best male-centric content. Highlight reels without reviewing or providing any editorial bias to the content. We have done so much, with so little for so long, we are now qualified to do anything, with nothing.
All right, guys, hold tight. Grease frustrated. Let's talk about the psychological things that you went through. The lack of respect.
I was eating out the garbage can, eating out the trash can. I was messing up.
And some of you men are eating out the trash can as well. And because you guys have been eating out the trash can, because one argues you're not as masculine as you could be because you're eating out of the trash can as a man.
My system. And, go ahead.
I only want you for the money and the coat and for the bills. That's it. If you ain't getting my hair done, if you ain't getting my nails done, if you ain't doing nothing for me, then I don't need you here. It's not 50.
How many of you guys have dealt with women like this duck? Did you hear what this duck said? And imagine, guys, if you're constantly dealing with negative energy women like this woman. This duck said you got to get her bills paid. She said if you can't pay her bill, she don't need you. Versus a woman that said, baby, I got you. Versus a woman that say, baby, I believe in you. Versus a woman that said, baby, I'm going to hold you down. And we're not talking about dusty Negroes. We ain't talking about Raekwon the Man and guys that are dusty that don't do work. We're talking about hardworking, blue-collar, white-collar men that are doing the work, that have done the work, and are striving to do the work. That's what we're talking about. But imagine, guys, if you had to deal with this duck. What percentage of women do you guys feel like are like this duck? What percentage of women do you feel like are like this young duck or this young pigeon?
Flies eat poop. Get over it. Okay? That's for you.
Yeah. Shut up, Kosher. Yeah. Shut up. Whoa. Shut up, Kosher.
Ballin'.
Take it back.
Like it's game time. Locked in when it's game time. Yeah, I'm ballin'.
50. It's not 80-20. It's 100% to 0.
And they wonder why men are checking out in 2023. Focus on yourself. Get your mental health right. Get your passport if you can't find a traditional woman here in America. Because, guys, sadly, is getting that bad. Anger with dating in America? Or was it really just depression? Or could it be the impact or the impact of dating modern women? And guys, if you get the wrong woman can cause you to have mental health issues. In the clinical world, guys, we talk about something called the biopsychosocial spiritual model. Biologically, the wrong woman can make you have low testosterone. Let me tell you guys something. I've dealt with women or dealt with men that said that once they stopped dealing with women in the West, their libido went up. They thought that they were impotent. But when they got a woman that was feminine and kind, they said that their sex drive went up exponentially. So in the clinical world, we look at things from the biopsychosocial spiritual model. And if you had a right woman that can help you rest in your masculinity, you could be a whole lot more productive as a man. We know that men are going to be productive in spite of, because men don't say foolishness like resting in their masculinity. But the paradoxical directive is, what if men could rest in their masculinity? The cortisol level from the stress would be a lot lower. Cortisol can harden your arteries and put you at risk of having heart disease. Dealing with an evil woman, a quarrelsome and cantankerous woman, will run you to the rooftop, because men that don't want to come home, guys, are looking for peace. So a man that cannot rest in his masculinity is a man that's not getting peace. A man that's not resting in his masculinity is a man that is not getting peace. He isn't getting peace. A man that's not resting in his masculinity, guys, struggles with the lack of energy, heart disease, being tired, and having headaches. And Kevin Samuels, before he passed, was beginning to say that perhaps traveling abroad was one of the best answers or solutions for single men.
Highly of men? No. Then go get a girlfriend.
No.
But thing is, you're asking a man to be a provider, male, and this and that. You want a man to do what he's supposed to, and you don't even give men a baseline of respect. You don't.
Right, and that's called taxation without representation. They want the benefits of a traditional relationship, but they won't even give a man a baseline of what he needs as a man, which is sad.
You say
I don't want to. I'm not going to argue with you, Kevin. I understand where you're coming from.
But I say, do you think highly of men?
And I'm working on my thought process of men. So I'm
That's
not
fair.
ready. I'm not.
That's fair.
Yeah, I'm
That's
not
fair.
ready for a marriage yet. I do have a lot of things to work on, and I do watch your videos a lot. I can take in what you're saying.
For women next to us.
Yes, sir.
You want me to not smile and not how about I feel like if everybody else can get a rainbow flag or a certain color flag to tell the whole world, hey, guess what? Look at me. I'm coming out. Look at me, everybody. Look at me. You're telling me that I have to oppress myself and hide my frustrations. Mm-hmm. You're telling me I have to oppress myself and hide my depression. Why can't I come out smiling and say, hey, guess what? I'm in Brazil and I got this pretty young chick and I'm thinking about marrying her and she's half my age and I'm smiling in all my photos. Black men don't smile. And there's a reason for that. Because you've been literally taught to oppress yourself. So my thing is, when I come out and I want to tell, if I want to tell the whole play, you know what I do? You probably, if you watch.
Flag. What about you?
Hi, my name is Jillian. I'm 20 years old. I'm from Canada. The highest level of education completed was high school. I decided not to go to college. And I said I'm single, right? Another
yeah. Just say it, all right? Just one more time. And then what do you do for work?
I'm a writer.
Okay.
Yeah, this is serious writers. So doesn't want to tell us what she writes.
Yeah. It's not for Vice though, right?
No,
Okay.
no, I saw that in the comments.
Yeah, fuck
No.
Vice. Okay.
Now imagine, guys, if a woman or a man could get this type of kindness and femininity. Imagine if a man could get this amount of kindness. A man can get this kind of kindness and femininity. Imagine how much better he could be as a man. Imagine it, guys.
Okay. What about you?
Hi, my name.
In this Black History Month, we often talk about the struggles associated.
What percentage of men have seen women like this?
And then what do you do for work?
What percentage of men have seen women with that level of raw femininity? What percentage of men have seen women with that raw level of femininity? What level of men? What level of men have seen women like that? What percentage have seen women like that? Because I'm sure it's rare.
I'm a writer.
Okay.
Yeah, this is serious writers.
So doesn't want to tell us what she writes.
Yeah. It's not for Vice though, right?
No,
Okay.
no, I saw that in the comments.
Yeah, fuck
No.
Vice. Okay. What about you?
Hi, my name.
In this Black History Month, we often talk about the struggles associated with Black men and Black women in a time when human beings were considered 3/5 human. But we never consider when we talk about Black men through the narrative of violence and abuse that grandpa or great-great-grandpa had trauma. Many men, when they're going through trauma, use alcohol, domestic violence, and sometimes sex to cope. But we never consider these dynamics when it comes down to the struggles or the behaviors associated with men in the past. Use this month to understand that grandpa was not necessarily a violent man, but grandpa was traumatized. If you're dealing with trauma, book a session.
It's for your ego. Do you make
Why do you-
the kind of money
why do you
make
say
for a
that?
wedding? Do you make enough money to afford the kind of wedding you want?
No, definitely not.
Then what the French toast are you talking about? See, that's what I wanted to show you guys. This is not a Black woman thing. This is a modern woman thing.
Right.
You average ass women.
It's not a Black woman issue. It is an American woman issue. But it impacts Black men at a greater rate because Black men have always come through or went through the struggle and went through the hustle. And because our situation is unique to many other ethnic groups, our sufferings become magnified. That's who the quality, hardworking Black men, not the one that are exploitative.
Have these fanciful visions. You're not a wife and you want some guy who's to wait for you to be perfect on day one while you're in process, cool. But 2 years is too long.
Mm-hmm.
Then he has to pay for a wedding. To impress who?
Dallas, how you doing, sweet? Looking all debonair. Looking like a Dallas Cowboy.
Go Cowboys. Matter of fact, 45 minutes game time.
Okay, all right, I go hold you up. Matter of fact, 45 minutes. Dallas, I want to ask you a question. You know, you and I have talked periodically from time to time, and I got a lot of respect for you as a sister. You know, it's hard to find women that were raised traditional like you. But, you know, imagine if men said, Dallas, I can't be a provider because I can't rest in my masculinity, or project because the masculine projects. What would that mean to you? Or what would you hear if you heard a man say, I can't rest in my masculinity? And what could or would you do to help your man rest in his masculinity? What would that mean to you?
Well, first of all, masculinity isn't something that you turn on or off. Neither is femininity. You either are or you aren't.
Right.
That's just what that is. And somebody putting conditions on whether or not they're going to be masculine or feminine is absolutely ridiculous. Because masculine men, I will say this. I've never met a masculine man who wasn't masculine 100% of the time.
Right, right.
So, and for me, as far as helping a man, I guess, rest in his masculinity, I'm
being funny, by the way. I'm being funny.
I got you. But a woman is supposed to be her man's peace. You're supposed to breathe life into him when life is beating him down. And I've been a firm believer of that all my life. You are supposed to be his peace. He deals with enough out there in the world. When he comes home, he shouldn't have to deal with all that nagging and nonsense. You not wanting to cook, you not wanting to be this, you not wanting to be motherly or nurturing. You shouldn't have to deal with that. You should want to be his peace.
Right. What do you say to the women, Dallas, that call women like yourself pygmies? I mean, because you definitely understand the formula. You definitely understand the mission. And the things that you do, perhaps, maybe you're just a natural nurturer. Maybe you just love to nurture and keep your home intact. But if a woman, Dallas, really was a true feminine woman, and you're right, men don't turn on masculinity on and off. But I use that, Dallas, as sarcasm, but also as a paradoxical directive. A paradoxical directive is of the opinion. But in your relationship or relationships in the past, where you were, or more or less manifest feminine energy, did you notice an increase in the productivity of the man that you were dealing with?
Absolutely. I think those things go hand in hand. I don't see how a woman doesn't understand that her being the feminine person that she's supposed to be. I don't understand how a woman doesn't understand that that is uplifting in and of itself. I don't understand how women don't get that just being soft and feminine is sexy in and of itself. You don't have to be naked to be attractive.
Right. And you know, I don't know, maybe it's a Southern thing, but in the South, Dallas, it won't never for a woman to work outside the home and go work for Miss Ann. And then she came home, Dallas, took care of her family, took care of not her children, Dallas, but took care of her children. She took her children, Dallas.
Some of y'all
and
got those.
And Dallas, she didn't complain. She counted her honor to take care of her family. Because, see, a lot of the men, not only did they work outside the home, they were farmers. And they would work up from sun up to sundown. Am I right or wrong? In the deep South.
Right.
But neither of them complained about it because they understood there was duty. But see, Dallas, what I don't understand is this. You got so many, Dallas, now that say or will say, I can't rest in my femininity because I got to work. I shouldn't have to come home and cook. You should be cooking. But Dallas, watch this. Women of old didn't have the technology that women now have. They didn't have the technology. They didn't have the dishwasher. They didn't have the wash machine. They didn't have the microwave. But they were better women, Dallas, in my opinion. What's your take on that?
I totally agree with that. I was telling a woman that, same argument, because I have to work now, I shouldn't have to come home and cook and all this. And when I was married, I came home and I cooked and I cleaned and I got everybody ready for tomorrow. I spent time with the family. We had game time. I don't understand why that's a problem. And for women who are saying that it's because they go to work, first of all, according to feminism, that's what you fought for. You fought for your right to be able to enter into the workplace. But just because you added something in addition to your life, it doesn't mean that a fundamental gets to be fallen by the wayside. That's not what that means. Just because you get up and go to work, it doesn't mean you get to turn everything else off. It doesn't mean the nurturer gets turned off. Because a man has always gone to work. It doesn't mean he doesn't take care of stuff around the house. It doesn't mean he doesn't take the trash out. It doesn't mean he doesn't keep the cars running. It doesn't mean he doesn't fix any small electrical things around the house. It doesn't mean he doesn't fix that toilet handle when it gets to breaking. Doesn't mean he's not changing light bulbs in the house. His duties don't stop because he works.
Right.
So why does a woman believe that just because she works that your duties at home stop? Home still has to be ran.
Right. I believe somebody will put a down payment on Dallas soon too. Dallas about to get a down payment. Dallas about to get a down payment at some point. But you know, Dallas, have you always been that way? Have you always been that way, or did you evolve? Have you always been like that based on your upbringing?
I think, well, for me, I've always been a nurturer. I'm innately a nurturer anyway. But I was actually raised with values. And I wouldn't necessarily say that I was raised to be a wife, because I did have a mother that was strong. I did have a mother that was taking care of 3 kids. Right. But she never walked in a feminist type of energy. She never acted like a man wasn't necessary. She never acted like, she was proud to be doing this on her own. That wasn't a trophy. It wasn't something to be running around patting yourself on the back. Being a single mother is hard work. Nobody should be applauding that. So I was just raised with values, human values. We weren't like for instance, defending yourself. We weren't taught to defend ourselves against blacks or whites, women or men, dogs or humans. We were taught to just defend ourselves against people. So everything that was taught to me as a child was just about being a decent human being. And so, yeah, I've always been like this my entire life.
You know,
and I watch women grow up, so I know women aren't the victims they play on TV. So I hung around women around the globe because I'm a military brat. So I know that women aren't the victims they play on TV.
You know, Dallas, Jeremiah Wright said the chickens are coming home to roost. There was a study, Dallas, that said by 2030 that 45% of women are going to be single. They're trying to get men back into American marriages because of one, they can't pay for these single women and their children. Also Dallas, the passport movement is proliferating. And then also Dallas, automation is taking over. Is it fair to say, Dallas, that not only is winter here, but not only is winter here, that the chickens have come home to roost, and the chickens they got their chests stuck out like them Gamecocks in South Carolina? What would you say about that?
I'm just going to say I agree with that. And I'm just going to leave it at that. I agree. And I think it's going to be a hard winter for a lot of individuals.
Right. And you know, Dallas, you know, our women have been compromised. They were hoodwinked. They were deceived. And I'm going to tell you why, Dallas. I believe succinctly, and I say this with all my heart. When I look through my family tree, tomorrow's my birthday. I've been on this planet for 52 years. If I was a single man, I probably wouldn't deal with most women in the West if I was a single man again. But to the young men that have never known what a true feminine woman is, you're correct. A man gonna be masculine anyway. But however, Dallas, I would challenge that talking point and say this: part of a man being masculine is being able to rest. Men in America have not been taught to rest. They have never gotten what's called a feminine, Dallas, a feminist oscillation. When you think about a fan, Dallas, a fan oscillates. When you spray that feminine perfume, it brightens the room up. It helps that man's mind. It gives him mental clarity. So while men are going to do masculine stuff in spite of, imagine once again that woman, when that man came home, Dallas, she rubbed his head. Imagine when that man come home, Dallas, she takes him by the hand and takes his coat off. Imagine when that man come home, she playing the song by Teddy Pendergrass, "You Are My Latest and Greatest Inspiration." And imagine, Dallas, when that man come home, the house is clean, them children clean, and she got the aroma of spaghetti and meatballs. And see, you guys don't know, Dallas is a chef. Dallas got skills, man. She got some skills, man. She got some. Her boyfriend is very lucky. She got some skills. She got beautiful food, man. She can cook up behind her. So, you know, if I ever fly out of Dallas, man, I'm gonna eat some dinner with you and your man. Tell.
I appreciate that, sir.
But what's going through your head, Dallas, when you hear what I'm saying? What's going through your head?
What was the thing you said before you brought up the cooking thing?
I was talking about that feminine oscillation. Oscillation is like a fan or a perfume. When you think about a fan, it spins and it projects to a woman's a man. That's what I'm talking about. The oscillation of a fan, right?
So I agree. But that's what I mean when I say you're supposed to be his peace. When he comes home from a hard day's work, you're supposed to be the person that takes away all of his woes. You're supposed to be the person that can relax him. You're supposed to be the individual that makes him de-stress. And I don't understand why women have a problem de-stressing their provider. I don't understand how if a woman can talk about her working all day long, and that's the reason why she justifies not having to cook, how do you turn around and that same woman justify this man working all day long and him coming home to a dirty home, or him coming home to somebody who wants to nag all day long? I don't understand why we don't put ourselves in their shoes, but we're the first ones to want to play victim in every situation. But in the same situations we play victim in, we force him to be a victim in those situations.
Right.
Just like equality, women fighting for equality. And I really wish they would cut that fight out. Equity, I'm all for it. Should you have access to things that he has access to? Absolutely. But let's not sit up here and act like we were designed to be equal. We're not designed to be equal. Society needs both of us, men and women, equally. We both have an equal role in maintaining society, but we are not equal beings. And I wish women would get off of that too.
Right. Yeah, I'm going to get the fruit of Islam for you. Guys, do me a favor. Go subscribe to Dallas D. But in the meantime, get the likes up. Donate to the channel. It's Leo season. Get your L's up. Get your L's up, guys, because it's Leo season. And my birthday is on tomorrow. But I want you to listen to some of these clips, Dallas. And Kevin Samuels talked about a low-value woman. He talked about sign language. I talked about deaf. But we're going to listen to it, Dallas, together. Hold tight.
But hey, officially happy birthday.
Go ahead, sweetie. Go ahead.
I said officially happy birthday.
Oh, thank you, sweetie. I appreciate it. Thank you, dear. Guys, get the likes up. Donate to the channel. And also, if you're not donated, please donate. If you got a question, I'll read it. Thank you, guys. All right. But Farrakhan said, Dallas, you can't protect what you don't control. And so many people see control, Dallas, as something negative. Control is not a bad thing, Dallas, in my mind.
No, it's
all
not.
Control is not bad. You should have healthy control, but abusive control is bad. What does healthy control look like to you, Dallas? What does that look like to you?
First of all, if we all had a little bit more healthy control, most of America wouldn't be obese and overweight right now.
Right.
But everybody needs a little bit of healthy control. Somebody in the household has to lead. I don't know why women have taken it upon themselves to want to take that role, but somebody in the household has to lead. And I don't know why women think that men are supposed to protect them if they can't direct them. There's no possible way that you can protect an individual that you cannot instruct. It's like you're teaching your child to walk across the street and you're telling them to look both ways before they go. Well, if this child decides I'm grown, I'm going to do what I want to do, I don't have to look both ways. And they run out there in the street without looking both ways. When they get hit by a car, whose fault is it?
Right.
If you don't want to listen. So in order for someone to protect you, you have to be able to take direction. I can't protect you if I can't direct you. And I don't know why women don't get that. How can you say men are supposed to be protectors, nobody's protecting us, but the first thing you shout is, I don't have to listen to you. Make it make sense.
Right. I call it, Dallas, taxation without representation and the mental breaking of the American man. And I stand on that, Dallas, and I'm going to tell you why I stand on it. I stand on it for this reason. I stand on it, Dallas, because men would be so much more productive, Dallas, if they could come home and rest. Do you know how many men, Dallas, when they come home, they wait on the outside in their car before they go in the home? That's not resting in their masculinity. That's not resting.
You're supposed to be excited about coming home.
Right.
Man or woman.
Man or woman.
And I hate that phrase, happy wife, happy life. It should be happy spouse, happy house. Both of y'all need to be happy in the household, not just you.
Right. Man or woman. I totally agree. Hold tight.
What you cannot control. Wait now. Sisters, when I use the word control, that makes you upset sometimes because you don't want nobody to control you. But no man can protect what he cannot control. Now, you don't have to be a control freak because she has a right to rebel against ignorance that masquerades itself in the form of a controller. I gotta set a balance here. Otherwise, after this lecture's over, some nut is gonna go home and say, see, I got to control what's going on up in here. But I say this, a woman will submit to you that allows them to see it, and they submit to it, then the wisdom is the controlling influence.
Nothing else to talk about. She belongs to the streets. Don't ruin your mental health. Book a session if she's doing this.
Let's be honest. Trust is lost in these modern women nowadays. Even the ring does not guarantee any level of loyalty anymore. Growing up, watching my brothers get played by these run-through women has been brutal, but eye-opening. A man will invest time and energy. Meanwhile, she's on the other side, letting another man reap the benefits, and she's proud. For the most part, these loose moral women will come up with these I need to go find myself excuses to justify their behaviors. They play mind games and are constantly trying to
You'll never be a...
Chris Brown said these 304s ain't loyal, Dallas. And it's hard for a man to rest, Dallas, when he's constantly looking behind his back. It's hard for a man to rest when he can't trust a woman. Paternity fraud, Dallas, is at an all-time high.
I was just going to say
Paternity fraud, right. Paternity fraud is one.
Women aren't loyal.
Right. And that's why, Dallas, I did this as a form of sarcasm, but also I did it because it's true. A man can't rest in his masculinity, Dallas, when he got to worry about a woman cheating on him. He don't know if them children is his. He don't know if he loses his job, she ain't going to hold him down. Let me ask you a question. If your man lost his job, and I want you to be as honest as you can, how long do you think you could be loyal to your man if he's trying, or how long would you love him, respect him, and that dirty word obey him if he was out of work?
See, the respect part for me comes in him being a masculine man. As long as I can always see you as the man of the house, I will always have respect for you regardless of the circumstances. I expect you to always be putting your best foot forward. I expect you to be out. You're not supposed to be sitting on the couch, just channel flipping while you're not working. No, we're not going to tolerate that at all. But you putting your best foot forward, you getting up there hustling, grinding every day. As long as I can always see you as a man, I'm always going to have respect for you. That's not lost because the job is lost, because I could lose a job too.
I totally agree. Hold tight.
A happy woman dogging your man out. He's not a man yet, but he will be. But if you keep on dogging him, you won't have nothing, and you'll end up being a lesbian at home with yourself, with no man by your side, because your damn mouth is what it is. It's a snake pit. And a man can't live under that.
A woman, a soft answer, a harsh answer causes wrath, but a soft answer, Dallas, turns away wrath. Part of a woman helping a man rest in his masculinity is being this peace by the words that she say. In your opinion, why are so many women so masculine? Why are they so masculine, Dallas? Why are they so masculine? Because Kevin Samuels, before he passed, was beginning to tell men to travel abroad to get the rest that they need because men are tired. Because as we said earlier, we know that men gonna be men regardless, but a feminine woman can help a man rest in his masculinity.
Well, one, I think a lot of it actually is propaganda. I think we have been conditioned to believe that all men are dogs. I think we've been conditioned to believe that you have to be able to stand on your own. And don't get me wrong, I think also a lot of it is turning these feel-good slogans into twisted realities. So the idea that anyone should be able to take care of themselves regardless of the situation you end up in, because you might be single. You could have been a happily married individual and your spouse dies one day and you end up a single person. So should you be able to feed yourself? Absolutely. Should you be able to take care of the kids? Absolutely. So the idea of you being able to survive on your own, nobody should take that as in you were meant to survive on your own. We were not meant to be alone as individuals or as people. So I think we've taken a lot of these feel-good sayings and we've just turned them into some kind of twisted reality to suit, I guess, to feed the propaganda that all men are dogs. And because all women tell the same story, we all watched our parents get divorced. We watched dad cheat. Every woman has been through a negative experience with the guy. You hear all the sad stories. My issue is we are judging those men for the same things that we do. This is where I take issue. I wouldn't have a problem with judging the men for the fact that they can't keep in their pants. But according to paternity fraud numbers, women haven't necessarily been honest either. So how are we sitting up here pointing fingers at him when we're doing the same exact things that he's doing?
Right. And you know what, Dallas, it's so many that are low value. You know, you and I from Gen X. We know the women in Gen X weren't perfect. We know the men in Gen X were not perfect. What's a succinct difference, Dallas, that you see in Gen X women compared to the women of this generation? What's the biggest difference that you see? We know Gen X women had that mess too. Some would say they got worse with Gen X women, but what's the biggest difference that you see?
See, for me, I see it a little bit different because I'm a Gen Xer that grew up a military brat. So I see things a little bit differently.
Okay.
For me, I see the positive side of the Gen Xers, whether you're man or woman, because I feel like we're the best of all the generations. We grew up in an analog environment, so we know what it means to not have all these luxuries. But at the same time, we were young enough to adapt to technology. So for me, Gen Xers are the best of all generations. But as far as what's different in the women, I think where we went wrong, because this is another issue that I have, I don't understand how the best of generations messed up their kids. I think where we went wrong, where all of us had babies before we had a chance to actually grow up, or before we had a chance, or we were having babies before marriage. Most of our parents had babies while they were married, regardless of whether or not they ended up a single parent or not. And I think it chipping away at those childhood fantasies, going through those situations, I think it's just made women believe that they didn't need those men, that they didn't have to have those men. They were better off without those men. But that's just not the case. But yeah, women got a lot of we've got some stuff to work on. That is for sure. But yeah, I think we've held on to this idea of being independent because what we watch, and the difference in the generations is us not wanting to restrict our kids the way our parents did us, because the baby boomers, they happen to have a little bit more integrity than most of the generations, and they were a lot more strict on their kids. A lot of us were having kids when we were still stuck in that I'm not going to tell my child no, that they can't go hang out at their friend's house, they can't go do this, and we're this idea that I'm going to give my kids everything that I never had. I really wish people would start wanting to teach their children everything they never knew instead of giving them everything that they never had. Because without those material items, you still grew up. So teach your child the things that you never knew so that they don't have to repeat the same mistakes that you made. But I think we just had those kids when we're still stuck in that mindset and not realizing that sometimes when your parents were telling you no, they were actually making the best decision for you. So I think a lot of the Gen Xers were having children trying to be their friend instead of trying to be their parent. And I think that's a big difference in the generations today. Women growing up now feel a little bit more entitled because they were hand delivered everything. Their parent didn't tell them no. So I think that's one of the major differences in women in the generations. I think as Xers, I think we messed up our kids trying to be their friend.
Yeah, I agree, sis. I totally agree. Hold tight.
Sir, this is not a good look when it comes down to being a masculine man. Book a session and take some zinc.
A dude that can be there through it all, a person that can be there through it all, there comes a relationship between a man and a woman that don't nobody else understand. Yeah. So dudes be like, man, why you with her? Or girl be like, why you with him? Y'all know why y'all there.
Exactly. Y'all know why y'all there. Do whatever make us happy. Like, that's it. Like,
and you can't have it all. So if you want to get, if we all want to be in a situation, sooner or later you gotta pick. If you've been to Vegas, you put your money on one thing on the roulette table. You gotta pick, and pick based upon what you need, not what you want.
And women pick based on what they want.
Right, what they want, but also, Dallas, many are so entitled. I've never in my life seen such a high level of entitlement for average to subpar women.
Because men have made society so safe that women are comfortable enough to complain. Because these women have literally been handed, they can have the house, the kids, and the career and still extort the money from the man without having the man in the house.
Right. But I think only I think oligarchs, a small percentage of men have made it easy. But most men don't have no say-so over policies made. We're just the victims of it. But there is a percentage of men that are oligarchs, and they write the rules. Now one could argue maybe they can vote, but even if a man do vote, if his vote doesn't go to the voting side to one, it's a futile effort. Men want change. Men want proactive change, but there are a small percentage that are voting for laws that oppress men, but also oppress good women as well. What's your take on that?
Yeah, that's true, but I think that we tend to do it to ourselves more often than we don't. Just like I said, the whole fight about women's equality and things. Matter of fact, when they overturned Roe, to me, that's what equality starts to look like, because we've always been able to force him into parenthood since the decision in 1973, and nobody could force you into one. And every excuse you gave didn't make any sense. So now that Roe's been overturned, even though you can still go and get an abortion, in some states it may be a little bit more difficult. And the first thing women complained about was, they are forcing me into parenthood. How can you force me into parenthood? Well, no different from if you tell a man you're pregnant and he says, I don't want to be a parent right now. You decide to take the baby anyway, and then you take him to court for child support. That is forcing that man into parenthood. Every woman was cool with that. But all of a sudden, Roe gets overturned, and now we're not comfortable being forced into parenthood. So again, women fighting for things that they really do not want. And I wish society would just go ahead and give it to them, so maybe they'll want to be barefoot and pregnant in the kitchen again.
Yeah, and Dallas also the alimony thing. We'll talk about that in a minute. But you know, Dallas, as a therapist, we look at things through what's called the biopsychosocial spiritual model. And guys, do me a favor, get the likes up, donate to the channel. Shout out to the 9 that have donated. Donate to the channel. But it's called the biopsychosocial spiritual model. Biologically, Dallas, a woman that's stressing a man out, as I said earlier, can give that man low testosterone, high cortisol, lack of energy, heart disease, headaches, and being tired. Psychologically, Dallas, it can lead to depression, anxiety, anger, low self-esteem, being double-minded, and other issues. Then socially, it can hurt him by more or less reducing his status, finances, and shame. Why are you so passionate, Dallas, about seeing men win, where so many women could care less about men being happy or not?
Because society doesn't go around without them. And honestly, I don't think it's that I have the passion for the men as much as I have the passion for the kids. And in order to have real passion for kids, you have to believe in intact families. You have to.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Shout out to my man.
Passion for kids.
No doubt. Shout out to my man Gregory Scotland for the 5. Gregory said that he said that Security Boss did a very good short video recently where she pointed out that modern women don't want correction or advice, but expect to get help. What's your take on that?
That's true. But you can't get it without somebody telling you what to do. At some point in time, you've got to be able to take instruction. Because if you're coming to me for assistance or whatever the case may be, and I'm telling you this is how you can get out of this situation, if you don't take heed to my advice, then what's the point? How am I supposed to aid and assist you if you don't want to listen to anybody? That's the first rule to getting any kind of assistance, is you have to be able to take direction.
No, I totally agree. Shout out to my man Top Gun for the 2. He said dope discussions. No doubt. I appreciate it, Top Gun. Hold tight.
You're not in therapy. You're in business marketing training or coaching. That's your priority. Like I said, your business, your passion is your business. You're unfit and you're not doing the damn thing about it. So you just think by October, it's going to fix itself. Ma'am, I've only asked you direct questions. Are you doing anything today that's improving your interpersonal romantic relationship skills?
I think that me working on myself as a person.
How are you working on yourself?
When I'm developing a brand or a business, I'm actually having to ask myself questions about who I am and what I want for myself and what I want for my future. Those things all are going to contribute to the people around me.
You don't get. No, it doesn't. If y'all want to see some depressing stuff, go look at what stuff looks like on reservations. I'm sorry for my native brothers. Look, ladies, you may not like my approach, my method, but at the end of the day, women are walking around, the average woman is walking around like, it'll just work out. It'll just work out. This feminism, womanism, single stuff that was piped into communities is overrepresented in Black and brown folks. Ladies, you better figure out how to become of use to a man. 2 incomes is better than 1.
What's your take on that, Dallas, with inflation being at an all-time high? Because to those single men that don't have children, Dallas, they're going to rest and they're going to be fine. But Dallas, I heard a story recently of so many women that were complaining about, they say they work, they are sick of the jobs they're working on, and they never make enough money to make ends meet. What are you seeing in your native state that would suggest what Kevin said was correct?
Well, one, he's right, because women thinking that their career or them pushing entrepreneurship is going to make them happy or it's developing them in some way, form, or fashion. Your business never makes you. You make your business. There are people who flip burgers at McDonald's who have more integrity than a successful CEO of a Fortune 500 company. So just because you make it doesn't mean you have integrity. It doesn't mean that you're fit to be a wife. It doesn't mean that you have morals. It doesn't mean anything necessarily good about you just because you have a successful business. So for you to say that is how I'm developing myself in an emotional relationship is me getting my business off the ground, that is the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. The business does not make you, you make the business. So he's 100% right. But that's what a lot of women have done. They have allowed their educations to make them believe that, because they're making a little bit more money. However, with inflation. So inflation is at an all-time high. It's not as bad as it was a couple of years ago, but it is high. The women to me that are complaining about the cost of living, don't get me wrong, it does come with some merits, because I've noticed the change in the debit card price when I go to the grocery store and at the gas pump. Everybody's noticed it, everybody's felt it. But at the same time, what's funny is the women that I hear complaining about the price of inflation or the cost of living are the same women who are spending $300, $400, $500 on nails and hair and eyelashes.
Right.
So what's the problem? Because in real hard times, men know to sacrifice a want for a need. For some reason, women sacrifice a want for a need. They just want to complain about it. So you want to spend what you earn on the things that you want, and you expect everybody else to step in and give you the things that you need. No, ma'am. As far as I'm concerned, just like when they were talking about evicting everybody because they weren't paying their rent, most of you women had the money to pay it. All that extra money that you were getting because of the situation, you had the money to pay it, you just selected not to. So when they said they were doing mass evictions, I said, peace be with you. I hope you have fun out there on those corners.
Yeah.
I didn't have to take pity for them.
Right. No, I don't feel sorry for them either. I don't feel sorry for them either. They were compromised, Dallas, the black ones and the white ones, and they chose to be compromised. And now the chicken's coming home to roost.
2 people splitting the bills is better than 1. Somebody to watch your back is better than one. And there's nothing more vulnerable than elderly, unmarried, childless women. Where in the world do you see a bunch of women who are 60, 65 plus, unmarried, no children, living their best lives?
It's true.
So my point is, you better get this relationship figured out. That is what has been human security, especially in Native America. You don't see a bunch of Native women just roaming the prairies free. They had husbands.
And guys, many have been deceived. Once again, many have been deceived. They've been deceived about relationships and how relationships work. And it's better being together in latter age than being by yourself. And you know what I've seen, Dallas? I've seen a lot of chicks, you know, they old and they still trying to shake a tail feather, Dallas.
I don't know what that's about. I don't know if that's women going through midlife crisis or what is going on. But when did becoming older and wise become a problem? It's like everybody wants to be 25. I don't understand what's going on here. We've lost our elders. Either we have disassociated from our family, or grandmama is still twerking in the club next to the grandkids. And I don't understand where we are in society. It doesn't make any sense to me. We just don't want to grow up.
Yeah. It's called the Peter Pan syndrome. It's called the Peter Pan syndrome. Sadly, man, my finger got the Peter Pan syndrome. Got sliced wide open. But
and children. Our people more than anybody else.
So Dallas, I created a term there called carnal hypergamy. It's called carnal hypergamy. Now I'm gonna explain that. Hypergamy in itself, Dallas, is not bad, because the nature of a woman, right? It's not bad in a sense. Some would say hypogamy by hypergamy. Some would say hypergamy, hypo. But kosher hypergamy, Dallas, says, I want to find the best man to progenate my offsprings, the best man to help me put a roof over my head, and I'll support him, or the best man that can protect me. There's nothing wrong with that. Survival. Because it's survival, right? Because on the flip side, Dallas, a man wants the best woman that can wide hips, that can produce his babies, the healthiest woman that's fertile, and the best woman that can help him push his mission forward. Now, men are the buyers, but the problem is this, Dallas. Women now practice what's called carnal hypergamy. When you think about carnal hypergamy, Dallas, what it basically means is that modern women are very predatorial. When you think about a lion, the word carne in the Greek means and the word carne in the Greek means flesh. Women are apex predators, where they get the best men or the top men, and they know that the system is against them, and they try to exploit them and make them a lick. However, a woman that practices kosher hypergamy, she's fair, she's fit, she's proper, and if there's a disposition or deposition, she's not trying to destroy him in the course. What's your take on that?
I could see that, but you're right though. And I've come to the realization that women are very, very predatorial, and that's another reason why we're not the victims we play on TV, because we definitely are predatorial. I can agree with that, and I do believe that there are a lot of women that are practicing carnal hypergamy. But you're right. There's nothing wrong with just practicing hypergamy. That's about survival. And I was having a conversation with a woman about that. And she was basically saying that men were upset because women practice hypergamy. I said, no, that's not the case. men have always known that women practice hypergamy. I said, the problem is you are now, you're upset because men have found out that not only do you practice hypergamy, but you will actually be willing to stab your own children in the back for your own survival. Your survival is not about community. Your survival is not about your offspring. Your survival is about you. And men don't operate like that. Men have always thought about, I was listening to T. Hassan, and he was having a conversation, I think it was with BGS, and they were talking about why there isn't any policy directly or specifically for men. And they brought up a very good point, that men have always thought about community. Everything that men do has always been for their families, for their parents, for their children, for their community. And they're realizing that women are about self-survival, not about the family or the community.
No, I totally agree. Cal, if you got questions, you can do one or two things, Brother Cal. Until I finish the stream, you can donate to the channel. I'll read your question out. Anybody want to read the answer, you can donate, or read a question, you can donate to the channel, I'll read it, or you can wait a little later, and I might drop the link, and everyone can come up and talk about why they can't rest in their masculinity as a man. And Dallas, thank you for being on, dear. I appreciate it.
I was about to say, I got a little while left. It's almost game time.
All right, sweetie. She got all sassy. She said, you got to come on. Game time. All right, sweetie. Hold on.
I'm a football fan.
Once again, it's primitive. It does not operate in spirituality. It operates in regression, and it operates in being exploitative. And because of that, some of you men right now have been on the brink of depression and suicidal ideation because you were a victim of carnal hypergamy. And that carnal hypergamy have left some of you men mentally bankrupt, but also it's left some of you guys socially bankrupt. Carnal hypergamy goes against the psyche of a man, and it makes you a slave to the pain of your past. And many times, men, the abuse that your mothers elicit towards you, some of you men are still victims of carnal hypergamy.
What happened to black couples like this? This is what true love should really look like.
You 103 years old?
Yeah.
And you 100?
That's up.
You got to be the prettiest 100-year-old.
Okay.
They've been married 82 years. So now, Miss Willie, you said that the secret to a happy marriage is being nice to each other. Yeah. Any other advice you have?
Just sit down and talk things over.
Talk things over?
Oh, yeah, and get a good understanding of what you're doing and where you're going.
Ma'am.
What happened to hold tight, Dallas? Hold on a minute.
Women are walking.
What happened to those relationships, Dallas?
Women don't know how to converse with, they talk to. And because I agree, you're supposed to be willing to work things out. You're supposed to be kind to each other. You're supposed to want to be nice to each other. How do you want to be vindictive or be low down or be evil to the person that you care about? For instance, the coochie punishment. I do not understand why women do that. Why do you not want to be attracted to your husband? Why do you not want your husband to be attracted to you? Why do you not want that emotional connection with your husband? I don't understand that. Why do you want to be fighting at home? Why do you want negative energy in your home? I don't get it.
Well, it's control and arrested development, and the jousting for power. Control, arrested development, and they want power.
But women have power. They have power over the children.
Right. You know that, and I understand that, but they want power over the children and the men. They want power over both. And,
but they're not ready for that role. That's what gets me. You are not ready to be the leader. I'm not understanding why you want that position, because we're not ready. Mm-hmm. There are a couple exceptions to the rule. That's another thing. Women can see one woman doing spectacular things, the woman that has it all, and all of a sudden you think that every woman deserves that or is entitled to that. And the only thing that you are entitled to is what you can obtain and maintain. Because just because you obtain it doesn't mean that you can keep it. So you have to be able to obtain it and maintain it. So when you see exceptional women and all of a sudden every woman thinks that every woman can have that, first of all, you're devaluing actual exceptional women out there, because all of y'all can't do that. Everybody cannot go to work and run a household. Everybody can't be that wife. I am realizing that now. I never understood what the issue was because I did it all the time. But I realized that every person can't be that. So stop trying to put every woman on the same level, because every woman is not on the same level, just like every man is not on the same level. There are exceptional women out there. Most of us are not exceptional. That's why they are exceptional.
Exceptional, right. No, you're right there. You're right. Let me hurry. I know you got your Dallas Blue on too, man. You representing tonight.
82 years. So now, Miss Willie, you said that the secret to a happy marriage is being nice to each other. Yeah. Any other advice you have?
Just sit down and talk things over.
Talk things over?
Oh, yeah, and get a good understanding of what you're doing and where you're going.
Ma'am, book a session.
Women don't want to understand.
I know.
And another thing, stop saying that man was trying to control you when he was only trying to lead you into a better life. But you so hard-headed, you so egotistic, you so prideful, you so stuck in your ways that you wouldn't even let that man lead. Have a good day.
I got a dirty little secret for you. Brad is frustrated too. If you're tired of toxic women like Brad, book a session.
Passport bros, you guys want to hear a success story? Look what I pulled from the old country. Right? It's great. She doesn't even speak English, so I don't have to listen to her.
And there's nothing more vulnerable than elderly, unmarried, childless women. Human security, especially in Native America. You don't see a bunch of Native women just roaming the prairies free. They had husbands and children. Our people more than anybody else.
But there's a crisis in masculine and feminine symmetry that's causing a lot of men to say, to hell with it. Before we go any further into this conversation, I want to ask you a question. Is there a crisis in masculine and feminine symmetry? And if it is, how do we get here?
Absolutely. Absolutely. There is definitely a crisis. And I feel that one of the ways we got there is from a lot of women. How do I put it? A lot of women that just don't want to take the pants off. They don't want to take the pants off because they think that, there's this whole hustle culture, right? Hustle, boss.
Dallas passports are growing. Men are leaving the country. How do you think it's going to impact this country in maybe the next 5 to 10 to 20 years, in your opinion? Because they're getting them passports. They're getting them fined.
You know what? Over time, I think that has the ability to maybe make women sit back and look at some of their actions. Because if women practice hypergamy, that means looking for your best suitor, your best chance of survival. The more men leave, the lower your chances get of finding that guy. So I think over time, it may actually have an impact on women. It may actually make them look, just look at their actions and see what it is that they're doing. Because the narrative that men hate Black women, or that Black men hate Black women, is so crazy. The men are only complaining because they care. They would prefer you get your act right so that they can marry you. Most Black men prefer Black women. Most Black men want to have babies with Black women. They want to marry Black women. So the narrative that they hate you all because they're complaining, they're not complaining. I mean, they are complaining, but it's not because they hate you. It's because they prefer you and they want you to get your act right. And hopefully one day women will see some of the errors of their ways, but I don't know if it'll be I don't know what it's going to look like in 5 to 10 years, but it's definitely going to be interesting. But again, like I said, if society gives women what they're asking for, that will make women actually maybe want to get barefoot and pregnant again, because women really don't want what they're asking for. They
don't
really
want it. They don't want it because this independence that they think they want. It's hell out here being a man.
Right.
I think, you know,
go ahead, sweetie.
I was gonna say, main thing, if you want equality for all these, since Black women are the most educated people on the planet now, all those grants that you all got, maybe if you were required to sign up for the draft in order to apply for one of those grants, maybe you view equality a little bit different, because that's a requirement for men, not for women. Miseducated.
No, I totally agree, and especially when they start making it mandatory for women to fight too.
Right. So yeah,
give them what they're asking for, and it is creating women to lead more in their masculine.
If we think that life is easy being a man,
now this is real important, Dallas. Listen to what.
Go back and look at the videos of Norma Vincent and book a session.
A woman who disguised herself as a man to find out how it is to live as a man committed due to the psychological scars of how difficult life was as a man. Nora Vincent, the author of Self-Made Man, has died by assistance. She was a radical feminist who believed men lived on easy mode and tried to prove it by disguising herself as a man for 2 years. Instead, what she found out is that men actually have it very hard, and wrote a book about her experience. In fact, the experience was so bad that she had to stop after 18 months because she was starting to hate women due to how bad the women treated her when she believed she was a man. It left her with psychological scars, which accelerated the end of her life.
It's a very sad story.
It is a sad story.
But it does paint a picture about the world that we already know. And that
those dudes Did you hear that, Dallas? This woman took her life, Dallas, because she portrayed herself as a man. Prior, she was a radical feminist and a lesbian. But when she saw the hardships of being a man, she couldn't handle it. She took her life. Her name was Norma Vincent. And she began to hate women. This is what they said. Now, when women say men hate women, it's not that men have a visceral hatred for women, Dallas, but it's how they've been treated. And they've been treated so unfairly and unjustly in a gynocratic system. And many times they don't have the records to help to process through their pain. They project that pain outward because they have not met a woman to help them rest in their masculinity. They didn't get it from their mothers. They didn't get it from their wives. And they didn't get it from women in general in the broader society. What are you hearing based on Norma Vincent, real quick?
I agree. I mean, I don't know what else to say. I totally agree.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You pretty much summed it up. I agree with that.
It's unfortunate, though.
Yeah, it is very unfortunate. But again, give them what they're asking for, and I guarantee you they will not want it. Women do not want to be treated the way men are treated in society, just like committing a crime. A man and a woman can commit the same exact crime. A woman is probably going to get a quarter to a third of the time that a man would get. We do not want to do the heavy lifting, not want to take on the role of being a real protector and a real provider. That shows in how y'all complain about being a single mom. If you were cool with being a protector and a provider, being the head of household, then why are you sitting here complaining about taking care of your children as a single mother? So yeah, it's just, again, society, if you give women what they're asking for, I guarantee you they'll wanna come back to the right side. But society is still making it easy for women, and that's what women don't realize. They have it easier than they portray that they do. And it's not to say that women have always had it easy. It's not to say that men haven't had advantages, but in every situation somebody has had an advantage over somebody else. But it's not the story that they portray it is, because even though they like to act like women are just now being educated, women had educations in the 1800s. So it's not the fight that you all have been claiming that it is. And again, women really do not want to be treated the way men are treated in society. Women do not want that weight on their shoulders. It's a weight to bear. I don't want that weight on my shoulders. There is nothing about me that wants to have his responsibilities. Nothing at all. So I think if women can just go ahead and accept the fact, that reminds me of a post I saw. This is last story I'll tell before I go. It was a woman showing an image of, I guess, like a store in somewhere in the Middle East, and there were men uniforms and female uniforms. On the female side of the uniform, the only thing there was that hijab or whatever that is, that the dressing that women wore. And on the men's side, there were all these uniforms: cops, doctors, construction workers, things of the sort, right? And I said, you know what? I understand the ideology behind this post. I really do get it. Should women if they have a desire to get those jobs, should we stop them? Absolutely not. I said, but let's not sit up here and act like women prefer those jobs, because women do not prefer those jobs. You can look up the statistics of any of those jobs. They are predominantly ran by men. Women do not predominantly want to be in construction. Predominantly, women do not want to do the jobs that men do. They predominantly don't want to be cops. They predominantly don't want to work in mines. They predominantly don't want to be mechanics. Men run most of those industries. So for you to put that up there, it's like saying women don't have the power to choose these jobs, but the women who do, because women in America do, you don't choose those jobs. So I'm not understanding what the argument is. And I think women have just taken that so far that they're not realizing that even given the opportunity, you don't want to do his job. Not to say that there aren't women who don't. There are exceptions to every rule. But vast majority of women do not want to have the responsibility.
No, you're right. The vast don't. I know you got to go real quick. Real quick. Hold tight. I know you got to go.
On they square and pursuing their business. That's what I'm saying. I've never the women they want.
So Dallas, real quick, sweetie, thank you for coming through. Resting in a man's masculinity. If women really were trained to be wives like your mother and your grandmother and your great-grandmother, do you think we could stem the tide?
Yeah, and matter of fact, I was saying this on another show, the women who complain about men cheating all the time. I said, and they turn to liberation now, because if men are going to be dogs, why can't a woman be a dog? And we were actually having that conversation. And I said, and I get that. That's what men, you're going to get more attention the more naked you get. The problem is it's negative attention. It's not positive attention. It's not wife attention. It's hit it and quit it attention. I said, what women don't realize is, even though that exists, that situation exists where, okay, this is what is going to get me the attention that I want, so this is what I'm going to do. Women also have the power to alter the behaviors of men. And I was saying that if every woman held on to her purity, then where would all of the cheating come from? I said, because we're the ones who aid and assist in the men cheating. And it starts back in high school. We groom the men that we complain about. In high school, every girl is cool with wanting to sleep with the quarterback, even though you know he's dating the head cheerleader. But if he gives you 5 minutes of his day, you're going to drop your underwear. Most girls in school wanted to screw the quarterback. That's hypergamy. He's at the top of the food chain when it comes to school. So if you would have been willing to do that, knowing he's dating the head cheerleader, then we groom the men that we complain about today. And if every woman held on to her virginity and her purity and her femininity, then where would all these dogs come from? Because they wouldn't have the option to. So you can complain about him and his actions all day long. A man only cheats because he has the ability to. And whose fault is that? Yeah,
I totally agree.
We need to change the way we look at things.
I totally agree. Yeah, I totally agree. Listen, sweetie, thank you for tuning in. I really appreciate it. I'll take some of this and clip it. You can clip it too. You can take some of it and clip it, and you can use for content. Go watch them Cowboys, man.
Gotcha.
Win tonight. Only for you, dear.
Cowboys.
Thank you, sweetie. I appreciate it,
all right,
baby.
y'all have a good one, a good conversation too.
Thank you, sweetie. All right, bye-bye. All right, guys. What we're gonna do? We're gonna drop the link. We're gonna drop the link. But you got a cam up. We're gonna talk for a few minutes. It's not gonna be long, maybe 30 minutes. But we're gonna drop the link, and we're gonna ask the question: why can't I rest in my masculinity as a man? But you got a cam up. The link has been dropped. Have you struggled with resting in your masculinity as a man? So the link has been dropped, guys. In the meantime, I'm going to I'm going to play. The soundtrack. If anyone want to come through and have a conversation, let me know. If not, guys, I'm gonna end the stream. If anybody want to talk about the struggles they've had with wrestling their masculinity, feel free to cam up and have a conversation. The link has been dropped. And thank you guys to the 11 that donated, with the number one sponsor being Gregory Scotland and Sean Campbell. Sean Campbell always showing love. I appreciate it, Sean. Top Gun, Salty Balls, Dallas D, Top Gun again. My man D. Scott, Detroit 313, Gregory Scotland. Gregory Scotland is the number one sponsor of the stream, guys. Y'all have been gracious. And I'm going to celebrate my birthday on tomorrow and relax a little bit. But the link has been dropped, guys. But if you guys got things to do, I understand. I appreciate you guys that came in on tonight. And if you don't come through, guys, I'm gonna chill. I'm gonna get my chill on, and I'm gonna look at some football too. But I appreciate you guys coming in, and I'm gonna run this commercial, and then after that, guys, if no one will come through, we're gonna end the stream. But thank you once again, guys. All right, let me see. And guys, go get your tickets at the Manosphere Conclave, guys. Get your tickets.
Welcome to Machismo TV, the ultimate destination for modern men seeking to upgrade their lifestyle. Subscribe to Machismo TV and Saul T-Balls. We stream daily from 12 midnight to 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, the best male-centric content. Highlight reels without reviewing or providing any editorial bias to the content. We have done so much, with so little for so long, we are now qualified to do anything, with nothing.
Condition. 7 wonders, the whole world gotta listen. This is kosher condition. 7 wonders, the whole world gotta listen. This is kosher condition. 7 wonders, the whole world gotta listen. This is
trendsetter, I got style for you. Ain't seen you at the top, it's been a while for you. Big you up and they look down on you. Take one loss, no one's around for you. I won't stop, no, 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 no. I won't stop, I won't stop. I won't stop, no, 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 no. I won't stop, won't stop. Yeah. I'm so handsome. All in Carmine's with my Benzo, I'm so fancy. No romancing. Got my baby and she right, she make you vanish. No time to play, got book dates. Had a plan, only had to wait. Always knew I'd make a way. Send a bill, they send a pay. Keep it real, keep the record straight. Keep it real, no time to fake. All authentic in my own lane. I am me till I'm in the grave. Trendsetter, I got style for you. Ain't seen you at the top, it's been a while for you. Big you up and they look down on you. Take one loss, no one's around for you. I won't stop, no, 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 no. I won't stop, I won't stop. I won't stop, no, 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 no. I won't stop, won't stop. Ooh, never panic. Get a worry, send it up and then advantage. Yeah, I can't stand it. Out of all the way you move and see you scrambling. On offense, no defense. Still strong, no weakness. Used to say I wouldn't beat this. Now they wish they could beat this. Table set, now tables turn. God's plan, don't say a word. Know the price, cause I know my worth. My time, get what I deserve. Trendsetter, I got style for you. Ain't seen you at the top, it's been a while for you. Big you up and they look down on you. Take one loss, no one's around for you. I won't stop. No, 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 no. I won't stop. I won't stop. I won't stop. No, 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 no. I won't stop. I won't stop. Tried to count me out, I'ma gon' count me in. Fill up my bank account, now I got something to spend. They tried to count me out, I'ma gon' count me in. Fill up my bank account, now I got something to spend. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I just pull it out and count for nothing when I'm feeling great. Give my baby little more just to spend it, and I'm always on go, I don't hesitate. Used to always know I make it, yeah. I'll be me until I'm in the grave, yeah. See my record, had to set it straight, yeah. I made to kill like 10 times 10. I got wires coming in, some in euros, some in sec, some in dollars, some in yen. I've been trying to keep my zen, keep my cool, trying to keep the family fed. Get my food. They tried to count me out, I'ma gon' count me in. Fill up my bank account, now I got something to spend. They tried to count me out, I'ma gon' count me in. Fill up my bank account, now I got something to spend. Didn't do it, I did it all, no gimmicks. I did it all, no fibbits. Now I got all these children, now I got all these clones. Now I got all you twinning, now I got all you thinking like all you in it. They tried to count me out, they tried to fill that doubt. They tried to ride my wig, they tried to knock me out. They tried to count my wins, they tried to show my L's. They tried to make me in, they tried, but where they now? Where they? Step in the spot and they stare at me. All of these battles will bear me. I swear that nothing compares to me. Feeling blessed, I won't stress. Beat the odds, you know the rest. They tried to count me out, I'ma gon' count me in. Fill up my bank account, now I got something to spend. They tried to count me out, I'ma gon' count me in. Fill up my bank account, now I got something to spend. Me go beast on them, I go beast, go deep, I OD on them, I OD, apply pressure, put heat on them, put that 500 degrees on them, 500 degrees, go dummy, go beast on them, I go beast, go deep, I OD on them, I OD, apply pressure, put heat on them, put that 500 degrees on them, 500 degrees, countdown, levitate, going up, elevate, watch me demonstrate, on time, never late, I grind, celebrate, no pump, fake, hesitate, I've been scoring every day, champagne, Perrier, since 9-3, been in the box, now I'm stepping up home, like straight out the sandlot, now I'm plotting on the globe, I work hard, I show love, that karma steady growing, got this far, I go hard, let God take control, I was starving skinny, now my weight up, got no energy for haters. See you trying, see you later, see you later. I'm shooting for the stars, need no laser beam, blowing like the greatest, but it's one who's always greater. Yo, go dummy, go beast, oh no, I go beast, go deep, I OD, oh no, I OD. Apply pressure, put heat, oh no, put that 500 degrees, oh no, 500 degrees. Go dummy, go beast, oh no, I go beast, go deep, I OD, oh no, I OD. Apply pressure, put heat, oh no, put that 500 degrees, oh no, 500 degrees. Smell good, skin clear, this here my year. Hey, look up here, this here my tier. Same fit 4 days, I grind 4 ways. I play no games, all me, no blame. On the wave, my own wave, can't stop my shine. In the lane, my own lane, can't stop my grind. 40 yard in the V12 and like 1.5. At 19, I cleared 19 in a month, no lie. Oh God. I was starving skinny, now my weight up, got no energy for haters. See you trying, see you later, see you later. I'm shooting for the stars, need no laser beam, blowing like the greatest, but it's one who's always greater. Yo, yo, go dummy, go beast, oh no, I go beast, go deep, I OD, oh no, I OD. Apply pressure, put heat, oh no, put that 500 degrees, oh no, 500 degrees. Go dummy, go beast, oh no, I go beast, go deep, I OD, oh no, I OD. Apply pressure, put heat, oh no, put that 500 degrees, oh no, 500 degrees. I'm away, I'm away, I'm a one-to-one, I can never be you. Low me tools, no I can't be fooled. Low me tools, no I hate these dudes. I'm a one-to-one, I can never be you. Anything you could do, I can do better. I can do better than you. Anything you could do, I can do better. I can do better than you. Drop my first single, let go, he rap. You thought it was a drought, that's cap. I get the front and I get the back. Lil Uzi the facts like that's a rack. Bought some new boots just to wear them out. Bought a new Beamer, I run it to the ground. I used to say nothing, I bet they hear me now. Ain't on my business, no need to hear me out. Talking too much, say less. If it's less than the check, say less. If you can say it best, say less. I'm taking all best, say less. Talking too much, say less. If it's less than the check, say less. If you can say it best, say less. I'm taking all best, say
Fire! Kosher Clinician.
If it ain't 7, it ain't kosher. Heaven and hell, that's what they told you. Real men put the strap down and we can toss them. Young heads picking back up and young dolphins. This is our culture, now we talking kosher. Clinician, masculinity issues, asking fathers who miss you. Mama drama don't kiss you, all a part of the ritual. This is how they get you. Separate the men, women clipping babies pretend to. Damn. Lovers, haters, acting like vultures. If it ain't 7, it ain't kosher. If it ain't kosher, ain't right, gotta divorce us. If it ain't 7, it ain't kosher. If it ain't kosher, ain't right, gotta divorce us. If it ain't 7, it ain't kosher. If it ain't kosher, ain't right, gotta divorce us. This is kosher condition. 7 wonders, the whole world gotta listen. This is kosher condition. 7 wonders, the whole world gotta listen. This is kosher condition. 7 wonders, the whole world gotta listen. This is kosher condition. 7 wonders, the whole world gotta listen. Listen.